At the beginning, I dumped 7 gorgeous wives. My name is Hua Xiaobao. I was born in the Dayan Dynasty and grew up in the 21st century. I have 7 pretty wives, all of them are as beautiful as jade. My life should have been very comfortable, but God played a trick on me. I have to wash clothes, cook and mop the floor every day, and warm the bed and give massages at night. My wives have bad tempers and I get beaten and scolded if I don't behave well. My life is miserable. Who can save me? Chapter 1, Victim of Domestic Violence. Lingju Mountain, Lianren Village, a place of scenic beauty and outstanding people. There was a young man named Hua Xiaobao. Orphaned from a young age, he survived by borrowing from his neighbors. One day it was a Zhang family cucumber, the next a Li family eggplant. Sometimes, he would be seen chased by a pack of stray dogs across the hills. But fate had other plans for him. At the age of 10, he was taken in as a disciple by the world's greatest diviner, Bu Xuanzi. Although the master didn't teach him the art of divination, he did build him a grand house in the village when he turned 16. And if that wasn't enough, the master also brought him 7 stunningly beautiful wives, each as graceful as a celestial maiden. Although it was already the 21st century, the law of the great Yang dynasty still permitted men to take both wives and concubines. Hua Xiaobao's life seemed like a dream come true, the envy of every man in the village. None envied him more than Wang Marzi from next door. Even his dog, when it saw Hua Xiaobao, would look at him with jealousy. However, every family has its struggles. While outsiders envied Hua Xiaobao for his beautiful wives, only he knew the bitterness hidden behind it. His master had once given him a book, the wordless heavenly book, and told him to study it with full devotion. Wasn't this just making things difficult? A wordless book with no text. What was he supposed to study? The worst part was that his master imposed a strict rule. Until he understood the wordless heavenly book, he was forbidden from consummating his marriage with any of his 7 wives. Not only that, but he had to treat all his wives with absolute obedience, no fighting back, no talking back. This life of suffering dragged on for 3 long years. It was a summer evening, and in the countryside, mosquitoes were in full force. In the room of Hua Xiaobao's first wife, Li Qingyu, a simple wooden bed stood under a hanging mosquito net. Li Qingyu wore a thin silk nightgown, her graceful figure barely hidden by the fabric. Her curves rose and fell like rolling hills, a stunning sight. Her face, as elegant as a painting, had a pair of enchanting eyes. Her gaze carried a hint of laziness, a dash of charm, and a trace of intoxication. She watched Hua Xiaobao, who was dressed in shorts and a tank top, leaping around on the bed with agility. Smack! Hua Xiaobao clapped his hands, successfully killing a mosquito. Suddenly, he froze. His eyes locked on Li Qingyu's snow-white thighs, which peeked out from beneath her nightgown. His eyes filled with murder. Li Qingyu's beautiful eyes narrowed in anger. Her gaze was sharp, clearly displeased. How dare you stare at me like that? But Hua Xiaobao ignored her. He raised his large hand and slapped down hard on her thigh. Smack! A loud, crisp sound echoed in the room. Oh! A sharp cry followed, but it wasn't from Li Qingyu. It was Hua Xiaobao himself. She had kicked him right in the forehead, sending him tumbling off the bed. With a sheepish smile, Hua Xiaobao quickly held up his hand, revealing a tiny mosquito carcass in his palm. Big wife, it was a mosquito, he said with a grin, trying to curry favor. Get out! Li Qingyu barked. Yes, I'm going, Hua Xiaobao replied, slipping on his flip-flops and shuffling out like a defeated soldier. Despite his miserable appearance, a secret grin spread across his face. Mosquito, oh mosquito, I owe you one. If it weren't for your sacrifice, I'd be stuck giving her a massage right now. But his celebration was short-lived. From the direction of the bathroom, his second wife, He Manqing, called out. Hua Xiaobao, come take my clothes and wash them. Sigh. Second wife has spoken, and he dared not refuse. His master's words echoed in his mind, obey them. Be absolutely obedient. Inside the bathroom, He Manqing had just finished bathing. With her body wrapped in a bath towel, she stood in front of the mirror, drying her hair. She didn't even glance at Hua Xiaobao as he walked in. Wash my clothes. By hand. Got it? She said, her tone commanding. Hua Xiaobao's temper flared. Can't she wash her own clothes? Is she that spoiled? He muttered internally. Seeing that Hua Xiaobao wasn't moving, he Manqing glanced over. What are you standing there for? Get moving. You're so slow. What kind of man are you? Her words stung like a whip. Hua Xiaobao looked at her. Her slender figure was barely wrapped in the towel. It clung to her body, accentuating every curve. He clenched his fists. If it weren't for my master's rules, I'd have pinned you down long ago. But he gritted his teeth and replied, okay, I'll do it. He stepped forward to pick up her clothes. At that moment, He Manqing suddenly turned around. The two of them collided. Her foot slipped, and with a cry of surprise, she fell to the ground. The towel, already loose, slipped away. White waves rolled. A sea of softness surged. Hua Xiaobao stood frozen in place, his eyes wide open. What a sight! He thought. I've suffered for 3 years. A little interest on my suffering won't hurt, right? But He Manqing's reaction was swift. Blushing with rage, she wrapped herself in the towel and glared at him. Pervert! She yelled, kicking him mercilessly. Hua Xiaobao could only dodge her kicks while shouting, your towel. It's slipping. Hearing that, He Manqing paused. Hua Xiaobao took advantage of the moment and bolted. Behind him, He Manqing's furious curses echoed in the air. Rubbing his aching backside, Hua Xiaobao sighed. Why is her kick so strong? My poor butt is going numb. He happened to pass by the room of his third wife, Yang Wenjun. Turning his head on instinct, he made eye contact with her. Of all his wives, Yang Wenjun was the most gentle and understanding. Unlike the others, she wasn't idle. Upon arriving in the village, she became a schoolteacher at the village's only primary school. Educating and nurturing children, she was a model of virtue and kindness. At the moment, she was still in her white blouse and black skirt, seated at a desk cluttered with books. Her long hair, usually tied up, was let down, and her glasses framed her intelligent eyes. Seeing him, she beckoned him over. Xiaobao, come in. Hua Xiaobao knew his fate. More homework to grade. He sighed, dragging his feet inside. As usual, he grabbed a small stool, sat next to her, and started helping her grade assignments. This was a task he'd done so many times that it only took a short while. By the time he finished, Yang Wenjun had finished preparing her lesson plan. Stretching her arms above her head, her blouse pulled tight, accentuating her figure. Hua Xiaobao could only gulp silently. This is too much for me to handle. I'm done for the day, she sighed. Thanks, Xiaobao. His gaze drifted to her blouse, where the buttons seemed ready to pop. I'm leaving before I get a nosebleed. Wait, she said. Bring me a basin of hot water to soak my feet. Sigh. I'm nothing but a servant. He brought her hot water and massaged her feet. By the time the water cooled, he was ready to leave. But then he glanced up. A glimpse under her skirt. Boom! Her wet foot smacked him in the face. Pervert! Yang Wenjun scolded, red-faced. Rubbing his face, Hua Xiaobao's heart burned with frustration. Master, you've ruined my life. I'm being tortured by 7 beautiful wives. Help me, Master. Chapter 2 Master's Letter. Chu Mana and Chu En, twin sisters, learned from Chen Shan Tong Lao and have recently become obsessed with the deadly scissor kick. Although those 2 pairs of long legs are very attractive, they are deadly scissor kicks. They can kill people. Seeing that Hua Xiaobao did not respond, the voice of the 5th wife Chu Mana came again. Hua Xiaobao, if you dare to escape, I guarantee that you will lie in bed for half a month. Damn. It's a blessing, not a disaster. If it's a disaster, you can't avoid it. Fight. Hua Xiaobao came to the training room with a desperate attitude. Seeing the 2 sisters in tight sportswear, he immediately became timid. He said flatteringly, 5th wife, 6th wife, what do you want me to do? 6th wife Chu En pointed to the center of the room and said, stand in the middle. Hua Xiaobao did not dare to object, and walked carefully towards the center of the room. As he walked, he asked, 6th wife, what kind of kung fu are you practicing today? Can you be gentler? Why are you talking so much nonsense? Hurry up. Chu En said. If you were more manly today, maybe we would show mercy. Chu Mana beside him also said. This made Hua Xiaobao very angry. This was the second time he heard that he was not a manly man today. How could he tolerate it? He knew that he could not beat the two, but his idol Hua Xiaobao had used a trick. Although it didn't work against Abai, it would definitely work against women. Since you are not kind, don't blame me for being unjust. Thinking of this, Hua Xiaobao showed a sly smile on his face. But before his sly smile was fully unfolded, Chu Enyuer's voice sounded. Death scissor kick. Hua Xiaobao was prepared. He dodged with a flash and came in front of Chu Manor. When he was not prepared, he immediately stretched out his hands. Chest stealing dragon claw hand. I can't beat you too, can't I get some money back? His sneak attack succeeded. But just a second later, before he could enjoy this tenderness, Chu Manor kicked him away angrily, and his body flew backwards. At the same time, Chu Enyuer attacked again, shouting, Fashion shadowless kick. Before Hua Xiaobao's body landed on the ground, he was kicked several times in the back, and his body flew back to Chu Manor. 18-way spring kick. Chu Manor shouted. Hua Xiaobao was kicked several times in the chest again, and flew towards Chu Enyuer again. Blue dragon swinging tail. Whirlwind sweeping leaf kick. Shadow-like kick. Paiyun palm. Fourling flower palm. Qianshan six-tone palm. At the door of the room, the fourth wife Yun Qingzhu and the seventh wife Lu Huanhuan were so excited. Seventh wife Lu Huanhuan said happily, fifth sister and sixth sister beat him so much. Fourth wife Yun Qingzhu nodded and said, well, beat him harder, you will learn more when I treat him later. Yes. Fifth sister, sixth sister, come on. Knock him. Knock him. After a while, with a deadly scissor kick, from inside, there was no sound in the room. Chu Manor and Chu Enyuer each grabbed one of Hua Xiaobao's feet, dragged him to the door like a dead dog, and threw him on the ground. I'll leave him to you. Although I beat him a little hard today, his bones are all healed, but he has more internal injuries. Chu Manor said. It doesn't matter, I'll give him a few injections and let him bleed later. Yun Qingzhu said calmly. Hua Xiaobao had just opened his eyes, and when he heard this, he fainted again. The next morning, Hua Xiaobao woke up. He quickly checked all the parts on his body and found that all the parts were there, so he felt relieved. Luckily, he fainted last night, otherwise, the damn acupuncture skills of the seventh wife would have added another tragic memory to his life. Hua Xiaobao is a cheerful person. As long as he is not dead, life will continue. He hummed a little tune and took a nice bath. Just after changing his clothes, he heard the angry shout of the fifth wife again. Hua Xiaobao, where did you wash my clothes? Hua Xiaobao trembled all over. It's over. The truth is revealed. Yesterday, I washed the fifth wife's panties with force and tore them. As a result, I threw them away casually, and they were taken away by the dog of Wang Ermei's house next door. If I tell this, I will be beaten to death. No, I can't stay in this house anymore. Hua Xiaobao quickly packed up his things and prepared to run away. As for the advice of his master, he didn't even think about it. Master? It's just a trick, it hurts people a lot. He found a backpack that he hadn't used for several years, and when he opened it, he found a letter inside. When did the letter come here? I don't remember when anyone wrote a love letter to me. He opened the envelope and knew it was written by his master. The content is as follows. Oh, my dear disciple, you finally opened the letter. Come, master, give me a hug. Get lost. Hua Xiaobao cursed directly. Since you have opened the letter, it means that you have been fed up and are ready to pack up and run away. You know this too. Hua Xiaobao admired his master's ability to predict the future. Master has anticipated this. Here, I want to tell you that men should be generous. You can run away, but you can't complain about your wives. How is it possible? I wish I could take a whip, make them kneel in a row, stick their butts up, and whip them one by one. Hua Xiaobao said. It's not easy for them either. They all have their own difficulties. They didn't marry you voluntarily, so they feel a lot of grievances. It seems to make sense, but am I not aggrieved? All the troubles are caused by you. Hua Xiaobao said angrily. As for the reason, I can't tell you now. I can only say that everything is fate, there is cause and effect. Bullshit, you just don't want to tell me, afraid that I will scold you. Hua Xiaobao scolded. Master knows that you are also aggrieved, but you have to bear it. Just think of it as what you owed them in your previous life. The suffering you are experiencing now is to repay the debt. Master, is there anyone who comforts people like you? Hua Xiaobao said. You don't have to think too much. You are ready to run away, which means that you are finally free. It's good to go out and try your luck. HMPH. Do you need to tell me that? Hua Xiaobao said. This small mountain village can't hold you after all. Although your character still needs to be honed, let the world hone you. Bar. Is there such a way to hone people's character in the world? I seriously doubt that you are not my master at all, but my enemy, who specially found 7 wives to harm me. Hua Xiaobao said. My disciple, although you are running away, remember to take the Book of Wordless Heaven with you. It is a treasure. What the hell, there is no word on that thing, what do you want me to watch? Hua Xiaobao said. If you take it, go to Baihua Bank in Australia City. I left some things for you, and there is also a sum of money. You can't go out without money. The envelope is a token of trust. Is that so? Then take it. Hua Xiaobao said. Okay, no more talk, don't come to me, I will naturally appear when you should see me. Bar, pretending to be a charlatan again. Hua Xiaobao said. Hua Xiaobao quickly packed 2 sets of clothes and stuffed them into his backpack. Then he found the wordless book under his pillow, which he hadn't read for half a year. The book had turned yellow and wrinkled. He flipped through it twice, but it was still the same, without a single word. Hua Xiaobao was about to put it into his bag. At this moment, a drop of blood dripped onto the book. Hua Xiaobao touched his nose and said, Wait. It must be because the 5th and 6th wives fought too hard last night. I don't know where the wound has not healed yet, so I'm bleeding from the nose. He couldn't care less, so he wiped it twice, but it seemed that the nosebleed didn't stop. It was still flowing. Hua Xiaobao simply used the wordless book to wipe it. As a result, this wipe caused a big problem. Chapter 3 All the beauties in the world are mine. The wordless heavenly book immediately turned into a golden light and penetrated into Hua Xiaobao's head. Hua Xiaobao fainted. When he woke up again, he was lying on the sofa, surrounded by his 7 wives. Hua Xiaobao sat up instantly and asked alertly, What are you going to do? When the women saw him wake up and still have the strength to speak, they all breathed a sigh of relief. Li Qingyu pointed at Hua Xiaobao's backpack not far away and said, What are you doing? Hua Xiaobao looked at everyone's expressions and it seemed that no one was going to take action. He then felt more confident and said, I want to leave this house, is that not okay? Of course not. The 7 women said in unison. Why not? Am I going to stay and be bullied by you every day? Hua Xiaobao said angrily. These words did make the 7 women feel a little ashamed, but it only lasted for a moment. You can neither make money nor fight, and you don't have the fortune-telling skills of your master. How can you not be bullied, said the 7th wife Lu Huanhuan righteously. Hua Xiaobao was speechless. But he has decided to go all out, so he is not afraid of anything. Said, Since I am so incompetent, why are you still following me? Do you think we are willing? Chu Man'er said. Since you don't want to, that's even better. Let's get a divorce. Hua Xiaobao said. Divorce? You're not even old enough to get a marriage certificate. Divorce? What divorce? Second wife He Manqing said sarcastically. Oh, Hua Xiaobao was stunned for a moment. That's even better. From now on, you guys go your way and I go mine, and we keep to ourselves. Hua Xiaobao said. No. The 7 women said in unison again. Why not? I have no skills and I can't make money. Do you still want me to support you? Hua Xiaobao said angrily. After thinking for a while, he added, Besides, I've had enough of you. I want to live longer and don't want to be tortured by you anymore. No one of you can stop me today. When the women saw that Hua Xiaobao was determined and didn't seem to be joking, they felt heavy in their hearts. The first wife, Li Qingyu, said, From now on, I won't ask you to swat mosquitoes for me, warm my bed, or give me massages. I'll also wash my own clothes. Is that okay? Yes, I will wash my own clothes from now on, and I will never hit you or scold you again. The second wife He Manqing also said. Is this a statement? Hua Xiaobao was surprised. As expected, the third wife Yang Wenjun also said, I will correct the homework myself in the future, and I won't ask you to help me wash my feet. I will just treat the people in the village in the future and will never use you as a guinea pig again, said the fourth wife Yun Qingzhu. Yes, 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 I will never treat you as a guinea pig again. I will learn acupuncture in the future, and I will not give you needles anymore. The petite and exquisite seventh wife Lu Huanhuan also quickly followed suit. We won't treat you as a human sandbag anymore. We mean what we say. Chu Mana, their violent fifth wife, said succinctly. Chu Nua nodded. Hua Xiaobao didn't expect that the attitudes of the women would change so drastically. But he was determined to leave. He said, "Do you think that not beating me, not scolding me, and not asking me to serve you is a gift to me? I am a 7-foot-tall man, shouldn't you serve me? I have been tortured by you for 3 years. Even if I owe you a debt in my previous life, it is time to pay it back. Today we will sever all ties and have no further contact from now on." The women didn't expect Hua Xiaobao to speak so decisively. Li Qingyu said angrily, "You have no ability at all, but you are able to marry such a beautiful woman as us, and you are still not satisfied." Hua Xiaobao snorted coldly. He said, "Are you here to be my wives? You are here to be my ancestors. I can't serve you. You can do whatever you want. From today on, I will not serve you anymore." He Manqing also got angry and said, "You have no ability at all, you can only say harsh words." Hua Xiaobao didn't expect that these women completely looked down on him. He said angrily, "You think I'm incompetent, right? Fine. Then just wait, I will make the most money in the world, live in the biggest house, drive the most luxurious car, drink the best wine, and marry the most beautiful woman in the world. Also, from now on, when I drink milk, I will never drink one bottle at a time. I will drink a whole row of them. This is his hobby." Promising. Yun Qingzhu teased. "This is my hobby. What's it to you to interfere?" Hua Xiaobao said as he stood up and was about to leave. The situation seemed to have reached a point of no return. Li Qingyu said, "You have to think carefully. If you leave this door today, you will really lose us." These words made Hua Xiaobao hesitate for a moment. Having 7 beauties as wives was indeed an enviable thing. But he is not a fool. He knows that these people are willing to marry him for a purpose. Otherwise, how could these beautiful ladies from big cities be attracted to a poor boy from the mountains? At this moment, he just didn't want to say it out loud. He said proudly, "If I lose you, all the beauties in the world will be mine, why would I be reluctant to give them up?" After saying that, he walked to his backpack and prepared to bend down to pick it up. But before his hand touched the backpack, it flew directly into his hands. At this moment, everyone was stunned. "Are you dazzled?" "Well, it should be." Hua Xiaobao himself thought it was an illusion, or rather, he was not in the mood to think too much about it. He put on his backpack, walked out the door and left without looking back. 50 meters away from home, I ran into the old lecherous dog from Wang Ermei's house. As the saying goes, when enemies meet, they are particularly jealous of each other. Hua Xiaobao picked up a stick from the roadside and chased after him. In just less than 2 minutes, Hua Xiaobao escaped from the village at the risk of his life. Behind him was the old lecherous dog and his 18 dog brothers, chasing after him madly. At the door of their house, Hua Xiaobao's women were stunned. "We left the village, arrived in the town, and took a bus to the county. Then, I boarded the train to Australia. From then on, once you enter the world of martial arts, it is as deep as the sea, and moral integrity becomes a thing of the past. Macau is the only city in the country that issues gambling licenses. So the city is very developed, with bright lights and wine everywhere, and if you have money you are the boss." Although Hua Xiaobao came from the countryside, technology is advanced in modern society, so he is not a country bumpkin who has never seen the world. Before he even got off the bus, he had already made up his mind to find a place to stay. At this time, he was already sitting in a taxi, watching the tall buildings floating towards him. While his eyes were opened, a sense of hesitation arose in his heart. Where and how will my wonderful life begin? How can you make the most money in the world? How can you marry the most beautiful woman in the world? This is a real troubling set of questions. "We're here, 200 yuan, said the driver with a fierce look on his face. "What? 200 yuan? Are you trying to rip me off?" Hua Xiaobao knew that he had met a black-hearted driver. Chapter 4, Beauty. "What? You want to default on your debt?" As he spoke, the driver pulled out a steel pipe from under the seat, and with a fierce look on his face, it seemed as if he was ready to take action at any time. Hua Xiaobao was very angry, but he remembered what his master had said. Those who are greedy for small profits will lose big fortunes. Considering what this driver did, he will definitely be a driver for the rest of his life. Thinking of this, Hua Xiaobao felt relieved. Hua Xiaobao wants to become the richest man in the world, so how can he quarrel with others over $200? After figuring out the whole thing, his attitude naturally changed, and Hua Xiaobao happily paid 200 yuan. Although he was cheated, he was still very happy because it made him remember a truth. Those who are greedy for small profits will lose big fortunes. So, it was a lucky thing, and he was one step closer to success. This was an old residential area. After the driver collected the money, he kindly told him that the rent here was the cheapest, and then drove away. This made Hua Xiaobao angry again. He looked at the rear of the car going away and cursed, "Do I look like a poor person? Big shorts, flip-flops, and a small vest. Although they are cool, they don't look like rich people at all. However, this outfit does complement the remote old town of Australia City. Looking up at these houses, they are at least 10 stories high and are obviously much taller than the houses in the village. But looking from the bottom up, why do those windows look like boxes stacked up? Swoosh tilde par. Oh my, who the hell threw something at me?" Hua Xiaobao was hit on the forehead by a mysterious object. Hua Xiaobao looked left and right and found a toy ball. The people in this city have such a lack of public morality. How can they throw things around? Even if it doesn't hit anyone, it's wrong to hit flowers and plants. It seems that people with low quality exist not only in rural areas, but also in big cities. Stop, don't run. With a roar, Hua Xiaobao turned his head to look. A beautiful woman with a face as pretty as a peach was running towards him, throwing herself into his arms. It seems that God has been kind to me. He knows that I am lonely, so he sent me a beautiful woman. Hua Xiaobao hesitated, wondering whether he should open his arms and embrace the beauty who came to him. Get out of the way. The beauty leaned against the mountain and knocked down the ignorant boy who was blocking her way, then stepped on his face with one foot. Immediately afterwards, several big feet stepped on his body and face. Hua Xiaobao got up dazed. What was going on? Oops. After taking only 2 steps, his feet slipped and he fell down again. When I looked back, I saw a pit under my feet. This is really a bad year. Why does bad luck keep coming one after another? Did I do something so evil that God is punishing me? But I didn't do anything against the law. I just dumped 7 beautiful wives. Is this wrong too? Huh? There's a wallet in front. Hua Xiaobao went over and picked it up. When he opened it, he saw a photo. Wasn't this the beauty from before? Does this mean that surviving a great disaster will bring good fortune in the future? The beauty knocked me down and I picked up her wallet. Then I didn't blame her for her rudeness and returned the wallet to her. Will she be grateful to me and fall in love with me for this? After all, I am handsome, suave and well-mannered. But where can I find this beauty? Gurgle. Hua Xiaobao's stomach made a protest sound. Oh. Let's find a place to eat first. After wandering around, Hua Xiaobao found a noodle restaurant. I ordered a bowl of beef noodles and was about to start eating when a person walked in. My eyes lit up. Isn't this the beauty from before? It seems like we are destined to meet. Hey, it's you? Before Hua Xiaobao could say anything, the beauty spoke first. I'm sorry for knocking you down. It seems that the beauty has a good memory and she actually apologized proactively. Then don't worry about the previous rudeness. A man should be magnanimous. But how can I use my wallet to get closer to this beauty? The beauty was very familiar with him. She had already sat opposite him and asked, "Are you from the country?" The word countryside sounds a bit harsh and seems to have some derogatory meaning. But considering that the person opposite him was a beauty, Hua Xiaobao decided not to bother with her. He nodded and said, "Well, you want to eat noodles too?" "Yes." The beauty replied. "Oh, by the way, can you see if this is your wallet?" Hua Xiaobao took out the wallet and handed it to her. The beauty took it and looked at it, and said in surprise, "Oh, it really is mine. I told you that you are handsome, suave, and talented. You must be a good person. I'll treat you to a meal." The beauty's words of praise were bestowed on Hua Xiaobao without reservation. Hua Xiaobao enjoyed it very much and felt very happy. A beauty can indeed recognize a hero with a keen eye. Boss, give me some crayfish, braised pork trotters, stir-fried kidney, boiled chicken, sweet and sour pork, and crab. The beauty ordered 10 dishes in a row. Hua Xiaobao was stunned and said, "There are so many, can we finish them all?" The beauty was very generous and said, "To thank you for your honesty, I should order more of this dish. Otherwise, how can I express my gratitude? Don't stop me, or I will be very angry." "Okay, as long as you're happy." "Handsome guy, what's your name?" the beauty asked with a coquettish look. "My name is Hua Xiaobao, you can just call me Xiaobao, what about you?" "My name is Baili Taohua, you can just call me Taohua." "Taohua, your name really suits you. You look like a peach blossom." "What a good name." Hua Xiaobao praised. "Handsome guy, don't be so direct. I'll feel embarrassed." Baili Taohua said coquettishly. Hua Xiaobao got goosebumps after hearing this. This beauty seemed a little unreliable. It was afternoon and there were not many customers in the restaurant, so the dishes were served quickly. The beauty said generously, "Boss, give me a box of cold beer." "Okay. A box." Hua Xiaobao was shocked by Baili Taohua's generosity. "What are you afraid of? If you can't finish it, you can return it." "Oh. Come on, let's go. Thank you for returning my wallet." "Okay." Having said that, Baili Taohua tilted her head back and drank a glass of beer. Hua Xiaobao naturally couldn't let the beauty look down on him, so he did the same. Baili Taohua asked, "Have you just arrived in Australia City?" "Yes, I just arrived today." "Come to seek refuge with relatives?" "No. Looking for a job. I don't want to work for others. I want to make a big career and become a leader." "Well, I admire your courage. Come on, do it." The two chatted and drank, but they basically talked about Hua Xiaobao's affairs. Hua Xiaobao knew nothing about Baili Taohua's affairs. "What? You said you had 7 wives. All of them were beautiful and you dumped them all." At this time, Hua Xiaobao was a little drunk and told all about his situation. "Yes, they were not nice to me. They asked me to wash clothes, cook and mop the floor. If I didn't do well, I would be beaten and scolded. I couldn't stand it, so I dumped them." Hua Xiaobao said. "Oh, how pitiful." Baili Taohua said sympathetically. "So what are you going to do now?" Baili Taohua asked again. "I once told them that I want to make the most money in the world, live in the biggest house, drive the most luxurious car, and marry the most beautiful woman. And then? You came to Australia City." "Yes, my master said that he left me a sum of money in Australia City. That is my startup capital. I want to expand my business." Baili Taohua's eyes lit up. Normally, according to convention, after she finished eating, she should pretend to be drunk so that Hua Xiaobao would pay the bill. Chapter 5, Being Fished. Baili Taohua changed her mind and said, "Well, a man should do something earth-shattering. How can he let a woman look down on him? That makes sense, let's do it." "Okay, I wish you success soon, let's do it." Baili Taohua rolled her eyes and said, "Xiaobao, you said you wanted to marry the most beautiful woman in the world. Aren't they the beauties on the Zhuyang list? They are either rich or noble, so it's not easy to marry them." Hua Xiaobao blushed and staggered. "I know, that's why I want to do something big." "So what are you going to do? How much startup capital do you have?" Baili Taohua asked the question she wanted to ask most. "It depends on how big the fish is." Hua Xiaobao said, "I don't know either. I will know after I go to the bank." "Oh, so that's it." Baili Taohua was a little disappointed. But she immediately said enthusiastically, "It is fate that we met today. I wonder where you live. We can keep in touch in the future." Hua Xiaobao drank another glass of wine. Said, "I haven't found a place to stay yet, so I may have to sleep in a hotel tonight." "No, hotels are not safe, not sanitary, and full of thieves. Don't stay there." "Oh. Is that so?" "Yes, how about this? You can stay at my place tonight. Even though the place is a little small, it's safe." Baili Taohua was very kind-hearted. Hua Xiaobao was so happy that his heart was filled with joy. The beauty actually took the initiative to invite him. What a good thing. In fact, he didn't know that Baili Taohua was worried that the fish would slip away, so she was deliberately luring him into the trap. Hua Xiaobao said, isn't this a bad idea? After all, we are a single man and a single woman. If we live together, will it cause you any inconvenience? This is the method of retreating in order to advance, Master said. What does it matter? Our friendship is pure and our relationship is innocent, isn't it? Baili Daohua asked. Hua Xiaobao took a big gulp of the wine and put the glass down on the table with force. He said proudly, yes, we are pure and innocent. Let's go home and sleep. Hua Xiaobao's sudden boldness surprised Baili Daohua. Would this be like inviting a wolf into their house? Bang! Hua Xiaobao fell drunk on the table. Baili Daohua was stunned. Was there something wrong with the plot? Shouldn't I get drunk first? Then I'll wake up after you pay and take you to your place. How could you get drunk first? Just thinking about the cost of this meal is painful. I almost emptied the little money left in my wallet before I paid for the meal. Baili Daohua can only swallow the bitter fruit herself. She also had to carry the drunk Hua Xiaobao towards home. Baili Daohua is tired. Why is this guy so heavy? But think about it, this guy still has some money in the bank, so it's worth it no matter how hard and tiring it is. After much difficulty, he dragged Hua Xiaobao to the door of the room, opened it, threw him to the ground and left him there. Thinking about the money that was about to come, I no longer felt tired or painful, and went to take a shower happily. Wash, 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 wash. Wash, wash, wash. After taking a fragrant bath, spray some perfume on your armpits, wrap yourself in a bath towel, and wipe your wet hair. I came to the living room and looked at Hua Xiaobao, who looked like a dead pig. How come this guy looks a little handsome even when he's drunk? Could it be that his body glows golden because he has money in the bank? I came to the balcony and looked at the city under the neon lights. Only at night did the city really come alive. There is a constant flow of traffic and people. Baili Daohua took out her cell phone and dialed a number. Hey, okay, get ready to start work. I caught another fish today, a stupid wooden fish. Don't worry, there won't be any accidents this time. He is from the countryside. People from the countryside also have money. We won't know the exact amount until tomorrow. I'll let you know then. He's here with me now. Don't worry, I won't sell my body. He's drunk as a dead pig right now. Even if I try to do it to him, he won't be able to do it. I know. Don't worry. Bye. Baili Daohua turned around and saw Hua Xiaobao still sleeping soundly. She said to herself, handsome guy, although you are quite handsome, I need your money more. I'm sorry. Baili Daohua's room was just a narrow single room with a bed against the wall and a sofa opposite it. Hua Xiaobao was lying on the ground in the middle. This is the sponsor, he cannot be wronged. Baili Daohua couldn't bear it, so she threw a blanket on him and then fell asleep on the bed. Early the next morning. A scream echoed in this small room for a long time. Take your claws away, you rascal. Oh, sorry. Get down. What are you still doing lying in bed? Oh, okay. You big pervert, when did you climb into my bed? I don't know either. Don't you know there's someone on the bed? Who allowed you to get up here? Baili Daohua wrapped herself in a quilt, huddled in the corner, and questioned Hua Xiaobao. Hua Xiaobao also felt that this matter was a bit unfair, as he himself didn't even know when he climbed onto the bed. I don't even know how I got here. But last night's dream was quite sweet, probably because I was holding a fair and tender beauty in my arms. But now he wants to prove his innocence, so he thinks hard about the solution. What should I do now? I have spent my whole life building up my reputation, and I cannot let it go here. Hey! Got it. Hey, that's not right. Wasn't I drinking last night? How did I end up here? Hua Xiaobao asked back. How dare you say that? You were drunk and I brought you back by myself. I was so tired. Baili Daohua said with some resentment. Oh, thank you. But your house is so small. You don't want me to sleep on the floor here? That would be worse than a hotel. Oops. Baili Daohua was anxious. How could he have forgotten this? How could he explain it? I drank too much last night and don't remember anything. What can you do if a beautiful woman acts like a rogue? Oh, is that so? Okay then, I'll go first. Hua Xiaobao said. Of the 36 strategies, running away is the best one. He doesn't want to be involved with this woman anymore. Although she was very beautiful, with a face like a peach, skin as white as milk, and a good figure, she was not even inferior to his 7 wives. But her peach blossom eyes flickered frequently, and it was obvious that she was a scheming woman. Hua Xiaobao knew that it was better to be careful when visiting this precious place for the first time. When Baili Taohua heard that Hua Xiaobao was leaving, she was immediately confused. How can you let a fish slip away after you have finally caught it? What's more, even though I didn't lose my virginity last night, this guy still took advantage of me. Therefore, it is necessary to get his money, otherwise it will be a big loss. Baili Taohua immediately became friendly and changed her expression as quickly as turning the pages of a book. Said, Xiaobao, I was wrong just now. I made a fuss. I'm sorry. Please don't mind it. Well, it doesn't matter. We just drank too much. We can't blame anyone. Hua Xiaobao said. Yes, it's all alcohol's fault. Xiaobao, there are new toothbrushes and towels in the bathroom. Go wash up and we'll have breakfast later. Baili Taohua acted as if nothing had happened. Oh, Hua Xiaobao really doesn't understand this woman. Why does her attitude change so quickly? However, he hasn't taken a bath since he left home, so he really needs a good bath. He nodded and agreed, okay. Hua Xiaobao turned and walked towards the bathroom. Wait a minute. Baili Taohua's urgent voice came from behind. But it was too late. Hua Xiaobao had already opened the door and saw the clothes in the washing machine. Aren't they just a few small pieces of clothes and pants? Haven't I seen Hua Xiaobao enough? What a fuss! Chapter 6 Image Renovation Project. Baili Taohua rushed into the bathroom wrapped in a quilt and quickly stuffed the clothes that were not meant to be seen by others into the washing machine. This time her face was really as red as a peach, and her pretty face was bright red. Half an hour later, the two went out together. I went to a breakfast shop and ordered a steamed pork belly, a thin-skinned shrimp dumpling, a custard bun, a century egg and lean meat porridge, and a steamed pork ribs. Looking at the sumptuous breakfast, Hua Xiaobao asked, do all the people in Australia eat such a sumptuous breakfast? Baili Taohua would of course not tell him that she ordered such a good thing just to win him over. Usually I'd rather have one portion for myself, but most of the time I don't eat it at all. Don't you want to be a superior person? You should at least learn to enjoy life, right? Of course, the richer the breakfast, the better. That makes sense. Hua Xiaobao agreed deeply. At this moment, Baili Taohua had an idea. Then he said, aren't you going to marry the beauty on the red beauty list? Yes. Hua Xiaobao nodded. But most of them come from wealthy families. They are not only well educated, but also very particular about food, clothing, housing and transportation. Baili Taohua said in a gentle and persuasive manner. Yes, you are right. So you have a very serious problem. What's the problem? Exquisite. Exquisite. Yes, it's exquisite. What do you mean? You have to be careful about how you eat, how you dress, how you go out, where you live, and even how you talk. Otherwise, you can't even get close to them, let alone marry them. Baili Taohua tempted deeper. Hua Xiaobao thought about it and realized, yes. That makes sense. So he asked, then what should I do? Baili Taohua patted her heavy chest and said, okay, I'll teach you. You know all these. Hua Xiaobao was a little skeptical. Of course, as for my background, I was once a lady from a wealthy family. And as for my current job, I have met all kinds of important people. Baili Taohua said. Oh, where do you work? Casino. Casino. Yes, the second largest casino in Macau, Galaxy Resort City. What a powerful name. Of course, there are not only casinos and hotels, but also various entertainment facilities. As long as you have money, you can enjoy it there. Not only what you can imagine, but also what you can't imagine. All services are available. You look very impressive. What are you doing in there? Dealer. The one who deals cards to people. Hua Xiaobao's words seemed a little frivolous. Baili Taohua was so angry. Said, this is not the point. Also, don't underestimate the dealer. Not everyone can do that. Okay, I was wrong, please continue. What were we talking about just now? Hua Xiaobao's interruption made Baili Daohua angry and confused. Speaking of which, you are going to teach me some etiquette. Hua Xiaobao reminded. Yes, if you want to be a leader, you need to be imposing and show off. This is a series of knowledge that you need to learn. That does make sense. You must teach me. Hua Xiaobao's eyes were full of desire. Baili Daohua is very satisfied with Hua Xiaobao's current attitude, which is also the result she wants. She said, "It's okay for me to teach you, but the premise of all this is that money is needed to pave the way." I have no money now. Hua Xiaobao said. Baili Daohua was almost choked to death by his words. But she still said patiently, "Think about it, if you look like this, with big shorts, a small vest, and flip-flops, will the beauties on the red beauty list like you?" "No, they might not even look at me." Hua Xiaobao shook his head. "It's not a question of whether they will look at you or not, but in your current state, it's impossible for you to appear within their sight. People like them go to high-end places, and in your current state, you can't even get in." Baili Daohua said. "Then what should I do?" "The first step to changing yourself is, of course, to change your image. Start by getting your hair done, and then buy a high-end suit." Baili Daohua said. "That must be very expensive, right?" Hua Xiaobao said. "Don't think it's too expensive. Don't you want to be the richest person in the world? How can you achieve great things if you haggle over every penny?" Hua Xiaobao suddenly understood. He said, "That makes sense. Master said, give up small gains to plan for the long term. That's the principle, right?" Yes. That's the truth." Baili Daohua echoed. What she was actually thinking in her heart was, "This guy is such an idiot, his idiocy is so cute." "So you know what to do now?" "I don't know." Hua Xiaobao shook his head. "You are so stupid. Of course I should take out your money first, then improve your image, and then I will take you to see the world." Baili Daohua said angrily. Hua Xiaobao was silent. After thinking for a while, he said, "Do you think it would be inappropriate for me to go to the bank in this state?" Baili Daohua wanted to rub Hua Xiaobao's head on the ground. But she suppressed her anger and said, "You are going to withdraw money, not to the Galaxy Resort. What's wrong with that? Think about it, I'm destined to be a prominent person. When I go to the bank to deal with people who manage money, I can't lose my status." Hua Xiaobao said. "Then what do you want to do?" Baili Daohua had a bad feeling. "How about we fix our appearance first and then go to the bank to withdraw money, what do you think?" Baili Daohua thought about it and told herself not to be too anxious. Then he said, "Okay, let's go get a haircut first, and then go buy clothes." "Okay, it's settled, but there's one more thing." Hua Xiaobao said again. "Is there anything else?" Baili Daohua's patience was slowly wearing out. "That peach blossom, I only have 200 yuan left in my pocket and I'm afraid the money is not enough." Baili Daohua almost fainted and seriously suspected that this guy was making fun of her. But think about it, it's impossible, after all, he is from the countryside. She made up her mind and said, "It's okay, I'll give it to you first, and you can give it to me later." "Daohua, you are so nice." Hua Xiaobao said with emotion. "Don't be polite. We are good friends after all." Baili Daohua gritted her teeth secretly. "Well, good friend, please give me the money for breakfast." What on earth is this?" Baili Daohua was screaming in her heart. After breakfast, they went to get a haircut. Hairstyle is a person's second face. A good hairstyle must be designed according to your face and head shape. It not only improves a person's appearance and temperament, but also helps to modify the body shape. Hua Xiaobao is quite tall, about 1.8 meters, and has a well-proportioned body. After changing his hairstyle, he seems like a completely different person. Baili Daohua looked at Hua Xiaobao in the mirror and couldn't help but sigh, "He's so handsome, all he needs is a nice set of clothes." Hua Xiaobao grinned and looked very happy. "It turns out that I can be so handsome." Baili Daohua paid 300 yuan for the haircut with a painful heart, and then took Hua Xiaobao to the department store nearby. There are many specialty stores there, and my heart aches just thinking about it. The two finally chose a store called Baoxini because Hua Xiaobao thought the name was festive. Just looking at the prices of those suits, the lowest of which was at least 2,000 or 3,000, Hua Xiaobao felt a little distressed, but also a little excited. "I have never worn such expensive clothes. I wonder if wearing them will immediately make me look classy. In fact, Baili Daohua felt more distressed than he did, because all the money was spent on her. The shirt must be white, and the cuff buttons must be large, preferably square. The clothes must fit well, not too thin or too fat, and there must be a vest, so as to look classy. I chose a black suit, which cost over 5,000 yuan, and had the waist and trouser legs altered on the spot. I bought a pair of leather shoes and the socks that came with them and put them on right away. Suddenly, Hua Xiaobao changed completely. I feel like I have improved several levels and am extremely handsome. I don't know if it's because he is so handsome or because he spent so much money. If it were paired with a watch, the image would be even more elevated. But Baili Daohua dare not say that watches are a bottomless pit. If this guy is interested in a girl worth tens or hundreds of millions, she wouldn't be worth that much money even if he sold her. At this moment, Baili Daohua had an idea. Said, "Let me tell you something." Chapter 7 Handsome Boss and Pretty Secretary. Hua Xiaobao was in a good mood and said, "What's the matter? Tell me." "Look, when those big shots appear, they are followed by a large group of people, including bodyguards, assistants, and secretaries." Baili Daohua said. Hua Xiaobao clapped his hands and said, "Yes, if there is such a large group of people following, the momentum will come out immediately. But where can I find such a large group of people now? Bodyguards involve security issues, so there is no rush for now. As for secretary and assistant, they can be done by one person. After all, you haven't really succeeded yet." Baili Daohua said. Hua Xiaobao thought about it and said, "That makes sense, but where can we find this assistant?" Baili Daohua was really going to be mad. Even after talking to this point, "Why don't you come to your senses?" She had no choice but to point at her nose and said, "Let me put it on first, and you can change it later if you find a suitable one." "Wouldn't that be too unfair to you?" Hua Xiaobao said. "I'm not wronged, but let me make this clear first. I'll be your assistant, and you don't have to ask for wages, but you still have to pay for my equipment." Baili Daohua said. Hua Xiaobao was a little surprised and said, "You mean the assistant also needs to buy a decent set of clothes, right?" "Of course. Look at me in this casual outfit. Even standing next to you, I'm not worthy of you." Baili Daohua said. These words made Hua Xiaobao's heart blossom and he felt elated, as if he had really become a big boss. "Well, go buy one too. I'll pay for it, but you still have to pay for it yourself first." Hua Xiaobao's tone seemed to have really become that of a boss, and Baili Daohua was working for him. "Okay, I'll give you the invoice." Baili Daohua felt that this guy was a little hard to understand. Was he being fooled? Baili Daohua also chose a slim fit suit for women, which showed off her entire figure. He has long legs, a thin waist, a broad chest, and looks very capable. Hua Xiaobao's eyes lit up and he praised, "Beautiful." Baili Daohua spent several thousand yuan again. Said, "Now we can go to the bank, right?" "Okay, let's go to the bank." Hua Xiaobao said without hesitation. Hearing these words, Baili Daohua's heart immediately calmed down. "Anyway, I made a profit on this outfit today, not a loss." Thinking of this, Baili Daohua's attitude became better. "As for the way this guy always looks at my chest, I don't care about it. I have a lot of money, so why not let you take a look? It will all be worth it once I get your money." After leaving the mall, the sun was very strong. "It's summer now and I started sweating instantly." Hua Xiaobao said, "Daohua, it's so hot, is it inappropriate for us to wear suits?" Baili Daohua said, "How can it be wrong? Think about it, the boss must have air conditioning at home, right? He must have air conditioning in his car when he goes out, right? Wherever he goes to do business, there must be air conditioning, right? So, even if you wear mink, it's not a problem." "I see. It seems like what you said makes sense." Hua Xiaobao said. "That's right. Have you seen God of Gamblers? When Chow Yun Fat appears, he is always wearing a coat." "Well, you have a point. Let's go, let's take a taxi to the bank." Baili Daohua mentioned going to the bank again, she couldn't wait any longer. Hua Xiaobao nodded, but just as he was about to take a step forward, he stopped again and asked a shocking question. "Daohua, what day is today?" Baili Daohua slapped her thigh. "Oh. Today is Sunday, the bank is closed." The pain in my heart. Pain. 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 So where are we going next? Hua Xiaobao said. Baili Taohua's mood has hit rock bottom, how can she have the mood to go anywhere else? Said, go home, I'm not going anywhere. Why don't we go eat something? It's time for dinner. There's a hotel over there. It looks pretty high-end. Why don't we go there to eat? Hua Xiaobao said. Baili Taohua was startled and said, it's very expensive there. Shouldn't big shots eat expensive food? Hua Xiaobao asked. Baili Taohua started racking her brains quickly, thinking hard about a solution. She couldn't let this kid trick her any further. This guy only has $200 left on him, and he wants to go out for dinner at a high-end place. Doesn't that mean he has to wait to pay for it himself? No, we have to think of a way. Got it. Boss, are you going to invite me to dinner there? Boss. Hua Xiaobao was a little confused by Baili Taohua's address. Yes, I am your assistant now and you are my boss. Boss, do you want to invite me to dinner there? Baili Taohua said respectfully and in a gentle tone. It's just that she emphasized the word please. I should have invited you to dinner there, but I don't have enough money. Do you have any? I'll reimburse you later. Hua Xiaobao said shamelessly, but he didn't feel embarrassed at all. Baili Taohua would never admit that she could still swipe a little bit of money from her bank card. She immediately looked very aggrieved and said delicately, Boss, I have already spent all my money on buying clothes for us, and now I don't even have money for dinner tonight. So miserable. Hua Xiaobao said in surprise. Yes. Baili Taohua nodded like a chick pecking at rice, looking both aggrieved and pitiful. Those watery peach blossom eyes looked at Hua Xiaobao pitifully. No matter how you look at it, women need men to care for and cherish them. Then what should I do? As a big shot, I can't go to small places to eat. This is what you told me. We should be particular. We can't lower the standard we just set, right? Hua Xiaobao said. Boss, big shots also go looking for delicious food in the world. I know a place with delicious food that is both tasty and affordable. Baili Taohua said. Oh? There is such a place. Yes, as the saying goes, good things are hidden among the people, it's true. Okay then, let's take a taxi there. Boss, let's just walk there. After all, you don't have much money. She said this because she had already made up her mind and would never pay another penny even if she was beaten to death. But we are all wearing suits and it's very hot, said Hua Xiaobao. Boss, how about we go back to the restroom in the mall and change our clothes? After all, they will get wrinkled if we wear them for a long time, and we still have to go to the bank tomorrow. Hua Xiaobao thought about it and said, okay, this is the only way. The two returned to the mall and changed back into the clothes they were wearing. After leaving the mall, the two walked for more than half an hour under the scorching sun. Finally I found the delicacy that Baili Taohua mentioned, Nanju Ramen Restaurant. The two were very hungry at this time, so each of them ordered a large bowl of noodles and started eating. Just as they were halfway through their noodles, a very unfriendly voice rang out, Baili Taohua, I'll see where you're going today. The two turned around and saw a burly man with a dragon tattoo across his shoulder, shirtless, and 3 of his men blocking the door. Looking for you? Hua Xiaobao asked. Baili Taohua gave an awkward smile. She stood up and said to the elder brother Long who came in, Brother Long, are you here to eat noodles too? Brother Gojanlong was in a bad mood and said, don't try to get close to me. I let you get away with it yesterday. Today, I want to see where you can run to. Chapter 8 Telekinesis. Brother Long, can we talk it out? I have friends here, please give me some face. Baili Taohua spoke in a very gentle tone, for fear of angering Brother Gojanlong. Okay, pay me back. I will give you face after you pay me back, said Gojanlong. Baili Taohua didn't have the money to give him, so she took a step closer and whispered, Brother Long, can I have a word with you? Brother Long looked at her and thought she couldn't do anything tricky, so he followed her to the side. Go ahead, I'm in a hurry and I have to report to my boss when I get back. Baili Taohua accompanied Chen and said, Brother Long, can you give me a day? I will have money after a day. Damn, to put it bluntly, you still don't have any money, so what are you talking about? I think you should just come with us. As long as our eldest brother is happy, let alone giving you a day, even if you don't pay back the money, it's not impossible. Who knows, I might even call you sister-in-law. There was an evil light in the eyes of the dragon as he looked Baili Taohua up and down. No, brother Long, please, just give me 1 day, seriously, I will have money after 1 day. Don't give me that. You've used this trick many times before. You say the same thing every time. Baili Daohua knew that she couldn't escape today, so she made up her mind and leaned close to Go Jianlong's ear to whisper something. Hua Xiaobao watched Baili Daohua and Go Jianlong whispering over there, and they glanced towards him from time to time. He felt a little uncomfortable and confused. After a while, the dragon took his men away. You guys have reached an agreement. Hua Xiaobao said as he looked at Baili Daohua, who had returned to her seat. Baili Daohua nodded awkwardly, her eyes evasive, not daring to look at anyone. It was obvious that she had already sold out Hua Xiaobao. Do you owe him money? Hua Xiaobao asked again. Oh. Stop talking. Every family has its own problems. Let's go back. Baili Daohua was in a bad mood. Hua Xiaobao didn't ask any further questions. After paying for the noodles, the two of them walked out. Hua Xiaobao came empty-handed, and the 2 bags of clothes were naturally carried by his pretty assistant. It is summer now and the weather is hot. Walking on the road feels like being in an oven and seems to be melted. Seeing an ice cream truck in front of him, Hua Xiaobao said, "Let's go buy some ice cream. It's too hot." Baili Daohua was not in a good mood, but she still forced a smile and said, "Okay." "Hey. Your smile is so ugly, just like crying." Hua Xiaobao said. "How can you talk to a girl like that?" Baili Daohua said, pretending to be angry. "I'm telling the truth, am I not? You don't know how to coax a girl at all. No wonder your wives bully you. Then teach me, how should I coax a girl? After all, I want to pursue the beauties on the Zhuyang list, and I can't do it without some skills." Hua Xiaobao said. "I will charge you for teaching you. Do you have money?" Baili Daohua said. "As my assistant, isn't it your responsibility to do things for me? Besides, I'm going to be the richest man in the future. As my assistant, how can you be short of money? Well, then, I'll let you owe me the money first, and I'll charge you interest later. Okay, hurry up." The first secret to chasing girls: be thick-skinned. Baili Daohua thought for a while and said. Thick-skinned. Hua Xiaobao thought he had heard it wrong. Yes, not only do you need to learn to be thick-skinned, but you also need to learn to be persistent. Baili Daohua said, like a teacher teaching a student. "You keep pestering me. Aren't you just a scoundrel?" Hua Xiaobao disagreed. "What do you know? If you don't keep pestering them, how can others know your true feelings? Girls are reserved, right? If you say, 'I like you,' will a girl agree to be your woman? Brother, the more beautiful a woman is, the less likely she will easily accept a confession from the opposite sex, do you understand?" Hua Xiaobao shook his head and said, "I don't understand." "Stupid. This is called waiting for a good price. The more beautiful a woman is, the more she hopes to find a good man. At the same time, she wants to eliminate those who are impatient and indecisive. Do you understand?" Hua Xiaobao nodded and said, "It seems that what you said makes sense. Another point is that women are emotional animals. They will naturally develop feelings for you over time. So, if you want to pursue beautiful women, you must pester them." Baili Daohua said very experiencedly. "Okay, I understand. What's the second one?" Hua Xiaobao said. "The second one, I'll tell you when I have time. Go buy me an ice cream first. I'm dying of heat." Before she knew it, Baili Daohua's mood had improved a lot. Hua Xiaobao came to the ice cream truck and paid for 2 ice creams. He stuffed the change into his pocket, but one coin accidentally slipped to the ground and kept rolling forward. Hua Xiaobao quickly bent down to pick it up, but the coin rolled along the gap on the side of the road and fell into the sewer. What a pity, just $1 is gone. Hua Xiaobao subconsciously looked down along the gap. He was shocked by the sight, and the scene inside the sewer immediately appeared in his mind. What is going on? Hua Xiaobao shook his head, thinking he was seeing things. But he did not give up and looked at the gap again. As a result, the scene inside appeared again. Oh my god! Is this a superpower? Wrong. He remembered what the wordless book had told him. It seems that I have acquired the powers in the wordless book. Now I am rich. However, even if you have this ability, how can you turn it into money? Oh, right. Last time when I left home, the bag seemed to fly into my hand. Can I still take things from the air? Try it. Hua Xiaobao grabbed in the air and activated his mind at the same time. The coin really flew into my hand. Rich. Rich. Now that I am rich, if I become a thief in the future, it will be easy for me to steal anything. There is nothing in the world that I cannot steal. Bar. You are useless. Hua Xiaobao cursed himself. What are you doing? If the coin falls, just throw it away. Why are you reluctant to throw it away? Baili Daohua came to him and said. Hua Xiaobao would certainly not tell his secret. He waved his hand and said proudly, I am destined to become the richest man in the world. Bang! Hua Xiaobao waved his hand and hit the ice cream in Baili Daohua's hand, and it flew onto her face. Hua Xiaobao! Baili Daohua gritted her teeth. Hua Xiaobao quickly covered his face with his hands because he wanted to laugh very much. But he had to hold it in. Puff! Apparently, he was not able to hold his laughter well, and it failed in an instant, and he couldn't help but burst out laughing. I'm so angry. Baili Daohua got so angry that she threw all the remaining ice cream in her hand onto Hua Xiaobao's face. Not satisfied with this, she reached out her hand and smeared it on Hua Xiaobao's face. Looking at Hua Xiaobao's clown face, he felt relieved and a happy smile appeared on his face. But Hua Xiaobao is not someone who will suffer losses. How dare you wipe me? Hua Xiaobao stopped eating and wanted to smear the ice cream in his hand on Baili Daohua's face. But Baili Daohua had anticipated this and turned around and ran. Don't run if you dare. Hua Xiaobao chased after him. Come on, chase me. Baili Daohua ran in front, provoking as she ran. Chapter 9, Encounter on the Road. Back then, when Hua Xiaobao was in the village, he was chased all over the mountains by local dogs every few days, and he had already mastered the running skills. Otherwise, Wang Ermei's dog and his 18 dog brothers would have torn him to pieces when he left the village. So, it didn't take Hua Xiaobao long to catch up with Baili Daohua. He grabbed her and Baili Daohua fell into his arms. Hua Xiaobao was about to extend his claws to her face, but stopped immediately. Baili Daohua's charming face was flushed, covered with a layer of sweat and some ice cream residue. It's really exciting, I want to give it a kiss. Baili Daohua's breathing was a little heavy due to running, and a burst of fragrance hit Hua Xiaobao's nose, which made him lose his composure again. What's even more fatal is that pair of peach blossom eyes, big eyes, twinkling, simply bewitching. Hua Xiaobao's heart was pounding so hard that it almost jumped out. Baili Daohua bit her tempting red lips lightly, exhaled like orchid and said in a delicate voice, Boss, can you let me go? I was wrong. Damn. Those damn red lips, I wish I could take a bite. While Hua Xiaobao was hesitating, Baili Daohua pushed him away, turned around and ran away. When he turned around, he was still laughing. Oh my god. I was fooled, this is a honey trap. Hua Xiaobao chased after her again, but Baili Daohua had already run into a nearby shopping mall to wash her face. The two returned home playing and fighting. Baili Daohua said, I'm going to take a shower, you are not allowed to peek, do you understand? Sister, the bathroom door is so thick, how can I see? Anyway, you are not allowed to have such thoughts, understand? Also, you are not allowed to call me big sister. I know. Baili Daohua went to take a bath. Hua Xiaobao had no intention of peeking at first, but he did after being reminded by Baili Daohua. He wanted to try out his special abilities. Hearing the sound of water inside, Hua Xiaobao closed his eyes and concentrated. Consciousness slipped in through the crack in the door. It really works. There was such a thick mist, and then my consciousness rose, wanting to see clearly the beauty in the mist. Hua Xiaobao only saw a strange mole on the coccyx of his lower back. Then he felt a headache, screamed and passed out. Hearing the screams outside, Baili Daohua shouted, Hua Xiaobao, what are you doing? No response. Baili Daohua didn't care about the foam on her body that had not yet been rinsed off, and quickly wrapped herself in a bath towel and came out. I saw Hua Xiaobao lying on the floor of the living room, and he actually fell asleep. You damn bastard, just go to sleep, why are you screaming? Baili Daohua cursed. But she was still a little worried, so she squatted down and wanted to see if there was anything wrong with this guy. At this time Hua Xiaobao turned over and made a humming sound, as if he was dreaming. Pig. Baili Daohua cursed and went back in to take a shower. Hua Xiaobao slept so soundly that Baili Daohua couldn't wake him up even when calling for dinner. Baili Daohua ate a bowl of instant noodles and ignored him. It's even easier at night, just throw a blanket on Hua Xiaobao and the problem is solved. But early the next morning, Baili Daohua's howling was heard again in the room. Then came her scolding. Go down. Go down. You big pervert. When did you climb into my bed? Hua Xiaobao was kicked off the bed while he was in a daze. He was confused. What was going on? How did he become a pervert again? How did he climb into Taohua's bed again? Hua Xiaobao rubbed his head and quickly recalled. Hey! I seem to have gone to the bathroom last night. Then I went to bed. Oh, go to bed. That peach blossom me. I said I didn't mean it, do you believe me? Hua Xiaobao's words seemed pale and weak. Get lost. Baili Daohua answered him with just one word. Oh well. Hua Xiaobao stood up, picked up the backpack beside him, and walked away in embarrassment. Just as I put my hand on the door handle, Baili Daohua's voice came from behind again. Come back, do you want to leave like this? Didn't you tell me to get out? Hua Xiaobao was a little confused. Just get out when I tell you to. Baili Daohua said angrily. So when you told me to get out, does that mean you don't want me to get out? Hua Xiaobao was even more confused. Is it really hard to understand what this woman is thinking? Baili Daohua was so angry that she died. Put your bag down and go take a shower. You stink. Oh, is this what the word get lost means for women? Hua Xiaobao was a little uncertain and said, You're not angry anymore. How could Baili Daohua not be angry? She was almost mad to death. But thinking about the money in Hua Xiaobao's bank, how could she really let him go? The play must go on. Boss, go wash up first, we'll go to the bank later, okay. Baili Daohua's attitude took a 180-degree turn. Although it's strange, Hua Xiaobao likes it this way. I used to be bullied by my wives every day, but now a woman treats me so well. It's a pleasure. Hua Xiaobao put down the backpack in his hand and went to wash up happily. I was whistling while taking a shower, and I was in such a good mood. After taking a shower, Baili Daohua helped him blow dry his hair and fix his hairstyle. She is just like a personal assistant. Great. Great. Put on a suit and he becomes a handsome guy. Baili Daohua also dressed up specially today, wearing the new suit she bought yesterday to match her peach blossom face. Jinjin is a pretty female assistant. The two of them were walking on the street, and they were a perfect match. At this time, the two were standing at the intersection waiting for a taxi and saw a Mercedes-Benz passing by. A fat middle-aged man was sitting in the back seat of the car, with a beautiful woman in each arm, looking very happy and romantic. Hua Xiaobao said, When I have money in the future, I will live this kind of life. Baili Daohua would certainly not burst his fantasy. Such a silly boy is rare to come across in a century, so let him live in his fantasy. Reality will make him realize the truth, but he will never say it out loud. This is the awareness that a liar should have. While waiting for the bus, another tall and extended off-road vehicle arrived, the Tank 1000. This off-road vehicle is very tall, with 4 tires on the rear wheels. The body lines are tough, very domineering and manly. Hua Xiaobao said, When I have money, the first thing I will do is buy a car like this. At this time, the vehicle approached, but its speed slowed down and the window slowly rolled down. There were 2 identical beauties inside, who turned their heads and looked at Hua Xiaobao. Hua Xiaobao was stunned. When did his 5th and 6th wives become so beautiful? And so charming? Why didn't I notice it before? He didn't even think about who he was dressing up for in the mountain village. When he returned to the city, he naturally looked radiant. Also, in the village, Hua Xiaobao was beaten by his sisters every day. In his eyes, they were just 2 devils. How could they be good-looking? The SUV had closed its windows and driven away, and Hua Xiaobao's soul seemed to have drifted away with it. Baili Daohua was a little confused and asked, Do you know him? Chapter 10, Misunderstood. They are my wives, no, now they should be ex-wives. Hua Xiaobao came back to his senses and said, Stop bragging. You have such a beautiful and rich wife. Would you be willing to dump them? If you don't believe me, forget it. But I want to tell you that these 2 sisters are very good at fighting. Don't provoke them. Hua Xiaobao kindly reminded. You make it sound like it's real. Baili Daohua still didn't believe it. You asked it yourself. If you don't believe it, just forget it. Hua Xiaobao said. Then tell me what their names are. Baili Daohua asked. My elder sister's name is Chumana, and my younger sister's name is Chu Nur. Hua Xiaobao said casually. Okay, I believe you. In fact, Baili Daohua still didn't believe it in her heart. The two took a taxi to the bank. When preparing to get off the car, Baili Daohua grabbed Hua Xiaobao and said, Wait a moment. Then she got out of the car first, went to the other side of the door, and opened the door for Hua Xiaobao herself. He said respectfully, Boss, we're here, please get out of the car. Not bad, not bad. Hua Xiaobao liked this attitude and secretly gave her a thumbs up. Baili Daohua was thinking, just pretend as much as you want, I will serve you well today, otherwise I will not feel at ease to take the money. When we got to the bank, we immediately approached a pretty female receptionist and asked, What business do you want to do? Hua Xiaobao was about to speak, but Baili Daohua spoke first. Our boss is coming to collect money and some other things. Oh, did you bring the receipt? Or the token? Asked the receptionist. Hua Xiaobao's master said in the letter that as long as he took out the envelope, the bank would naturally give him the money and the things. Hua Xiaobao was just about to take the envelope out of his pocket when he was bumped from behind. When I looked back, it turned out to be the fat man who was surrounded by people in the Mercedes-Benz. The fat man ignored Hua Xiaobao and had no intention of apologizing at all, not even looking at him. Xiao Chen, come here and help me with some business. The fat man said to the female receptionist. When the receptionist saw the fat man, she immediately gave him a friendly smile. Boss Jiao, I'm sorry, I'm receiving a VIP. How about I take you to the VIP room? There are other staff there to help you. Although the female receptionist called Hua Xiaobao a VIP, she treated them coldly and sent them to the VIP room. How can they be treated as VIPs? Hua Xiaobao was very angry and wanted to explode. But Baili Daohua reached out and held her back. After all, she had lived in a big city for so long. She had experienced a lot of social situations, and she could still bear being ignored for a while. What's more, her goal was to let Hua Xiaobao get the money as soon as possible, and these unnecessary things should be avoided if possible. The female receptionist came back soon and also ignored the unhappy expression on Hua Xiaobao's face. What did you two say you wanted to pick up? The female receptionist went straight to the point, without any intention of apologizing for her behavior. Hua Xiaobao was very angry. These people didn't take him seriously at all. Come to think of it, Baili Daohua is the best. She believes in me, does what I want, and gives me advice. Hua Xiaobao decided to keep this beautiful female assistant by his side in the future. As for the present, being ignored and treated rudely by others will only make you more determined to achieve your goal. I must be the best person in the world, make the most money, live in the biggest house, drive the best car, and when I go out, I must be the most ostentatious. In this way, others will not look down on me and will be respectful and polite to me. Thinking of this, Hua Xiaobao suppressed his unhappiness, took out the envelope from his arms and handed it over. The receptionist took it and looked at it. Sir, what does it mean that you gave me an old envelope? Said the receptionist. Master said that you will understand when you see this envelope. Don't you understand? Hua Xiaobao was a little angry. Sir, this is a bank and you can store valuables here. But you gave me a blank envelope and said you wanted to withdraw money or something. Are you kidding me? When Baili Daohua heard this, she thought it made sense. When withdrawing items from a bank, there are usually 3 items of tokens: bank cards, checks, and safe keys. You hold a blank envelope and say you want to pick something up. I've never heard of that. Aren't you just kidding me? Think again about Hua Xiaobao's behavior and words over the past 2 days. It's over. This guy is a fool. I am even more of a fool. I actually believed what he said. Oh my god. I spent so much money on this idiot and slept in the same bed with him. Oh my god. God, are you going to play this on me? At this time, Hua Xiaobao had already started arguing with the receptionist. He is very stubborn and believes in his master's words very much. How much money have you deposited in our bank? And what have you deposited in our bank? Asked the receptionist. I've already told you that my master kept it. He said that once he gave the envelope to you, you would understand. Hua Xiaobao said. Since you can't answer my question, then you want to cause trouble. It's not that I want to cause trouble, but you can't read the envelope, call your leader. Also, I want to file a complaint against you. Complain against me. You still have time to take the envelope and leave now, or I'll ask security to kick you out. The receptionist stuffed the envelope back into Hua Xiaobao's hand. You dare? Do you think I would dare to do that? Ignorance. Hua Xiaobao was really about to go crazy. He had never been so angry before, not even when he was beaten and scolded by his wives. This woman is simply unreasonable. Come to think of it, Baili Taohua is still better. She is simply the best woman in the world. No other woman in this world has ever given me that kind of understanding and support. She is so nice. At this time, the people around who were watching the fun were pointing and talking at him, which made him feel even more stressed. The female receptionist was even more unscrupulous and said, "Everyone, please judge for yourself. This person actually came to me with a blank envelope and told me that he wanted to withdraw money and things. He can't tell us how much money he has in our bank, nor can he tell us what he has in our bank. Do you think he is deliberately causing trouble? Oh, this young man looks very energetic and handsome. How could he be so depressed and come to the bank to cause trouble?" an old lady whispered. Alas, he is so naughty at such a young age and runs to the bank to cause trouble. Young people nowadays are getting worse and worse. An upright old man shook his head and sighed. Hey! This young man is quite handsome, but why is he so confused? He wants to come to the bank to defraud money with a blank envelope. Is there something wrong with his head? Alas! He is so stupid. It's a pity for his appearance. A pretty girl said to herself. Handsome guy, look here, come and lie to me, I will believe everything you say. As long as you are nice to me, I will be yours. A strong, short and kind girl said shyly. The young man looks normal. He doesn't look like a liar or a fool. He is well dressed and looks handsome. So why would he do such a thing? There must be a story behind it, said a normal person. Xiao Chen, what's going on? Why is there so much noise? A majestic female voice sounded behind the receptionist. Chapter 11, Everyone is happy. Following the sound, an elegant woman in work clothes appeared. Manager, this person. The female receptionist quickly told the visitor what had happened. Of course, she described Hua Xiaobao as a liar who was unreasonable and unreasonable. The female manager frowned slightly and glanced at Hua Xiaobao. Then he stretched out his hand and said, "Hello, my name is Fang Yi, and I'm the manager here." Hua Xiaobao stretched out his hand and shook hands with her, thinking to himself that this manager Fang's attitude was much better than that of the female receptionist. But she acted very businesslike and didn't seem to believe in me. What should I do? Sir, can you show me your envelope? Manager Fang said. Hua Xiaobao has no good solution and can only take it one step at a time. If she doesn't recognize the master's envelope, she will have to go back and think of another way. He handed over the envelope. Manager Fang took it and looked at the envelope carefully. When he saw a seal in the corner, his expression became bitter. Hua Xiaobao thought, oh no, she doesn't he know him either. But unexpectedly, Manager Fang said solemnly, Sir, I'm sorry, our staff was not competent enough to recognize your token, which caused you a lot of trouble. On behalf of the bank, I would like to express my sincere apology to you. Hua Xiaobao was a little confused and said, You mean you recognize my envelope, right? Yes, there is a special seal on your envelope, so I am very sure that this is a token of trust from our bank. We apologize for the trouble we have caused you due to our inadequate work, said Manager Fang. Then, she pulled the receptionist over and said sternly, quickly apologize to this gentleman. Everyone was shocked. It turns out that this envelope is really a keepsake. I said this guy is quite handsome, how could he be a liar, said an old lady. It seems that this young man would not do anything aimless. I am short-sighted. It's just that the working ability of this female receptionist is too poor. How could she make things like this? Young people nowadays are getting more and more unreliable and impetuous, said the upright elderly man. How can the quality of this staff be so poor that they actually called a handsome guy a liar? Can a liar have such a good-looking appearance, said the pretty girl. Oh. He is not a liar. I am so sad. There is no chance. Oh. It hurts. A kind fat girl said to herself. As expected, I said there was a story, said a normal person. Hua Xiaobao was originally in a bad mood, but it suddenly turned around. Because he heard the exclamations around him, the various speculations about his identity, and the accusations against the receptionist. "Sir, I'm sorry, I misunderstood you." The receptionist's face was filled with shame and even a little fear. This made Hua Xiaobao confused. Admitting mistakes and apologizing is a virtue. Why should we be afraid? He couldn't help but look at the receptionist a few more times, and when he saw the word internship on the receptionist's name tag, everything made sense. Although this female receptionist was hateful, judging from her frightened expression, she was definitely about to face the punishment of losing her job. Hua Xiaobao was still feeling angry and didn't want to forgive her so quickly. But Master said that everything has cause and effect. Hua Xiaobao didn't want to sow bad seeds that would lead to bad consequences in the future, but he couldn't help but feel angry because that would be too unfair to himself. What to do? Sudden. You just apologized and that's enough? It's fine that you didn't recognize the token, but you also falsely accused us of causing trouble and said you would ask the security guards to kick us out. If Manager Fang hadn't shown up and proved our innocence, people would have thought we were scammers. Baili Taohua said unyieldingly. Hua Xiaobao's eyes lit up. He liked Taohua more and more. She was like a worm in his stomach. She was so considerate and well scolded. Baili Taohua's mood had already hit rock bottom. She thought that she had been led astray by the fool Hua Xiaobao. Not only did she lose a lot of money, but she also lost face. Who would have thought that when she was at her wit's end, there would suddenly be light at the end of the tunnel? How could she miss this opportunity to vent Hua Xiaobao's anger? After all, I still have to continue fooling him. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I was wrong. I really didn't know that our bank had such tokens as envelopes. I'm really sorry. Can you please forgive me? The receptionist pleaded. Tears were already welling up in my eyes. Baili Taohua wanted to say more but was stopped by Hua Xiaobao. His anger had subsided, and he decided to plant a good cause to see if he would get a good result in the future. Even if he had nothing, he would not lose anything. He said, "This matter cannot be entirely blamed on you. After all, you really don't recognize this token, so you misunderstood us." Then he looked at Manager Fang and said, "Manager Fang, I think this envelope is a keepsake. There aren't many people in the bank who know it, right?" Manager Fang nodded and smiled bitterly. "Yes, only a few high-ranking people know about your token. In that case, let's just treat this as a beautiful misunderstanding, okay? After all, we haven't suffered any losses. What do you think, Manager Fang?" Hua Xiaobao said. "As long as you don't mind, that's fine. Xiao Chen, why don't you thank this gentleman quickly?" Manager Fang said. "My name is Hua Xiaobao." Hua Xiaobao said. Xiao Chen quickly thanked Mr. Hua. "Thank you, Mr. Hua, thank you for your generosity." Xiao Chen said quickly. "You're welcome. People should have more understanding between each other. By the way, Manager Fang," Hua Xiaobao hesitated. Mr. Hua, do you have something to say?" "It's like this. I saw that her name tag said internship. I'm worried that what happened today will affect her evaluation. I want to ask for a favor from Manager Fang. After all, this matter was caused by me. I don't want this misunderstanding to cause her unnecessary trouble. I wonder if Manager Fang is willing to do so." Hua Xiaobao's words not only pleaded for the other person and sowed good seeds, but also respected Manager Fang as a leader and prevented her from thinking of interfering with her work. At the same time, he won the admiration of the onlookers, and more importantly, the gratitude of the female receptionist. It is truly watertight. Har har har, Mr. Hua is really considerate. Don't worry, I promise that Xiao Chen's work will not be affected by this incident, okay? Thank you very much, this won't cause any trouble for your work, will it? Won't. Applause immediately broke out all around, and everyone gave Hua Xiaobao a thumbs up, with endless voices of praise. Everyone praised him for his broad-mindedness and said he would have a bright future. Hua Xiaobao felt a little elated. What was originally a very unpleasant thing had turned out to be a happy ending for everyone. I was praised by everyone, which was amazing. At this time, he was very grateful to his master. It was he who often gave me some truths, which enabled me to have the ability to handle today's affairs, and to handle them so well. It seems that I must be methodical when dealing with people and things in the future. Hua Xiaobao was very happy because he remembered a new principle of being a human being and doing things, and he was one step closer to success. Under the leadership of Manager Fang, Hua Xiaobao and Baili Daohua came to a VIP room. At this time, Baili Daohua was very depressed because she felt that she could no longer see through Hua Xiaobao. She now had a very scary premonition, worrying that Hua Xiaobao had already seen through her thoughts and had been playing tricks on her. But she couldn't ask Hua Xiaobao, which was really depressing. But she was about to see the money, and she said she couldn't stop at any cost because the consequences would be serious. She probably can't afford it. Chapter 12, The Cheating Master. Hua Xiaobao and the other person sat down, and Manager Fang poured them a cup of tea. Manager Fang, do you think we can get our things now? These words were said by Baili Daohua. Fang Yi was slightly stunned, because she realized that this woman seemed to care more about what she was taking than Hua Xiaobao, and was even a little impatient. Oh, I forgot to introduce you, Manager Fang. This is my assistant, Baili Daohua. Hello, Manager Fang. Baili Daohua stretched out her hand and shook hands with Fang Yi. Hello. After Fang Yi shook hands politely, she looked at Hua Xiaobao. Are you sure you want to take back the things kept in this bank now? Fang Yi asked. I'm here to pick up something today. Sorry to trouble you. Hua Xiaobao said. Fang Yi hesitated for a moment and said, but your master has told me that the things can only be given to you alone, so. She looked at Baili Daohua apologetically. Baili Daohua was very disappointed, but she knew that a little impatience would ruin a big plan, so she took the initiative to say, I'll wait outside. After saying that, he stood up and walked outside. That's not necessary. Miss Baili, you should just wait here. After all, we need to get the things from the safe. Fang Yi said. Daohua, just wait here for a moment. I'll leave with you after I get my things, okay? Hua Xiaobao said. Okay. Baili Daohua said a little frustrated. The feeling of being left out is really bad. Mr. Hua, let's go. Good. Hua Xiaobao followed Fang Yi to the safe. In a highly confidential room, Manager Fang took out a metal box and handed it to him. Then he went to wait outside the door without any intention of looking at what was in the box. This was his professional quality. Watching Fang Yi close the door, Hua Xiaobao opened the box. Inside were 9 dragon-shaped jade tablets, 2 bank cards, and a letter. Hua Xiaobao asked, what is master doing now? He did not touch the jade token or take the bank card, but opened the letter from his master first. The first sentence of the letter is, My dear disciple. Bar. Do you have to be so corny, old man? Hua Xiaobao said. The fact that you are seeing this letter means that you have parted ways with your wives and come to Australia City. Nonsense. How could I see this letter if I didn't come to Australia City? Hua Xiaobao said. Alas. This is really destined by God. When I saw you say this, I knew that you, old man, were going to act like a charlatan again. Hua Xiaobao said. My disciple. Your 7 wives are from the 6 major families. Now that you have dumped them, their families are doomed to fall apart and collapse is imminent. No way. Master, isn't this too much? What does the collapse of their family have to do with me? Don't put all the blame on me, I won't admit it. Hua Xiaobao said. I know you don't believe it, but everything is destined by cause and effect. Believe it or not, you will know when you watch the news tomorrow. Damn it. Old man, what are you trying to do again? I'm timid, don't scare me. Hua Xiaobao said. Don't be afraid. This is all destined by heaven. Your 7 wives will suffer some disasters because of you in the coming days. You must help them as much as possible. No way. What does their disaster have to do with me? Besides, they left me. They are big shots anyway. How can I help them? I know your current abilities are still relatively weak, so you have to make yourself stronger, otherwise you won't be able to help them. Isn't this nonsense? Hua Xiaobao said. And what's more? They all have the same strange mole on their coccyx as you do, so they are all strange people and will be of great help to your future life. You know this too. Have you ever peeked at them taking a bath? Damn. Old man, you are so immoral. I will poke your eyes out later. Hua Xiaobao said angrily. Don't let your imagination run wild. I don't have such dirty thoughts as you. I calculated all this. No one would believe you, you old fool. Although Hua Xiaobao said this, he felt a little relieved in his heart. What you have to do next is to marry them back home, but this time you have to rely on your own ability. I, the old man, will not help you. What? Are you kidding me? I finally escaped from their clutches, and now you want me to return to their clutches on my own accord. I won't do it even if you kill me. Yes, I won't do it even if you kill me. Hua Xiaobao said angrily. You have no choice, because the master is waiting for you to save his life. If you are unfilial, you will be punished by heaven. What the hell? Master, you are teasing me again. Hua Xiaobao said bitterly. I'm not kidding you, this is real. When they truly become your women, you will give them the jade tokens in the box, one for each of them. Then you will naturally know how to save me. That's not right. There are 9 jade tablets in the box, but my wife only has 7. How should I give them to her? Hua Xiaobao said. I know you will be wondering why there are 9 jade tablets. That's because every 100 years, only 1 man and 8 women will appear, 9 extraordinary people. Including you, I have found 8 of them. The remaining 1 will be up to you to find. Remember, you must also make her your woman, and then come together to save the master, understand? As for finding a way, you don't have to think about it. Strange people will meet strange people. You just need to pay attention to the people around you. No way. Master. Why do I feel it's so mysterious? If I'm not mistaken, Taohua seems to have a strange mole. Hua Xiaobao said to himself. Xiaobao. This is your first time stepping into society. You must remember the principles of life and conduct that master has taught you before, otherwise you will suffer. You are still young, so it doesn't matter if you suffer a little, but master can't wait. He is still waiting for you to save him. You're so long-winded. Let's talk about the money. Hua Xiaobao muttered. I know you don't have any money right now. If you want to accomplish something big, you will definitely need some startup capital. Master left you 2 bank cards. One card has 200,000 yuan in it to guard against villains, and the other card has 5 million yuan in it, which is your real startup capital. Wow. Wow. Master, you are so rich. Why did I always see you dressed so poorly before? Hua Xiaobao said. Master has lived frugally all his life for you, even sparing himself from buying clothes. It was not easy for him to save up this little fortune. You must use it well and don't let me down. The most important thing is, it doesn't matter if you fail, but if you can't marry those 8 wives, your life will be over. You only have 3 years, you must succeed. Master's life depends on you. There are still 3 years left. There's no need to rush. Hua Xiaobao said. Don't think 3 years is a long time. It will pass in the blink of an eye. Hurry up and chase your wife. Hua Xiaobao was speechless. No matter what he was thinking, his master seemed to know it. It was even more terrifying than the worms in his stomach. But now he is faced with a very serious problem. He has finally gotten rid of his 7 wives. Should he marry them back now? Oh. It's a bit scary to think about it. How can they be wives? They are basically 7 ancestors. If I marry her, wouldn't my life be over? No. We have to find a way. What should we do? Chapter 13 Fancy Shuffle. After raising funds for a while, it seems that there is no good solution. Let's just take it one step at a time. Hua Xiaobao put the letter away and then looked at the 9-sided dragon-shaped jade plate. The jade pendant is very small, about the size of 2 thumbs combined. It is emerald green all over and feels slightly cool to the touch. The green dragons carved on it are lifelike and each one is different. You can tell at first glance that they are good things. Because there were small holes drilled on the jade pendants and they were strung with ropes, Hua Xiaobao picked one at random and put it around his neck. He immediately felt refreshed, his mind became clear, and his thoughts became much clearer. It seems that this is a really good thing. Hua Xiaobao decided not to take it off. Since one of them belongs to him, he might as well wear it. Although the master did not tell him the true use of these jade tokens, he knew they must be very valuable, so he decided to keep the rest here. When Hua Xiaobao returned to the VIP room, Baili Daohua immediately came up to him and asked, "Have you got the money and things?" Hua Xiaobao smiled and nodded. Baili Daohua felt relieved instantly, as long as she got the money. Then let's go. Good. The two said goodbye to manager Fang and left the bank. Standing at the door of the bank, Baili Daohua looked at Hua Xiaobao's expression and prepared to implement the next plan. Pointing to a nearby coffee shop, he said, "Boss, shall we go there for a cup of coffee?" Perhaps because Hua Xiaobao had been bullied many times by his wives, he particularly liked Baili Daohua's respectful attitude. "Isn't tea of higher quality than coffee? There is a tea house over there, let's go and have some tea," Hua Xiaobao said. "Yes, boss is destined to become the richest man in the world. Let's go for some tea," Baili Daohua said flatteringly. "If you have money in your pocket, you will feel confident." Even when walking, Hua Xiaobao felt that he was much more majestic. The two of them came to the tea house and ordered a small private room by the window. After the waiter made the tea, he took the initiative to leave. At this time, Baili Daohua finally couldn't help it. "Boss, how much startup capital did your master give you?" 200,000. Hua Xiaobao said casually. Baili Daohua was delighted. "Enough. Enough. This is enough to pay off the loan shark." But her face showed disappointment. 200,000. What's wrong? Is there anything wrong? Hua Xiaobao asked. "Boss, you want to be the richest man in the world, but you only have 200,000 yuan in startup capital. It will take you an unknown amount of time to achieve your goal." Baili Daohua sighed. "Yes. What can you do with 200,000 yuan? How can you become the richest person in the world as quickly as possible?" Hua Xiaobao also sighed. "If you want to become the richest man in the world, you must do something that will make you a lot of money." "What is something that will make you a lot of money?" Baili Daohua continued to set the trap in a persuasive manner. Hua Xiaobao was also thinking about it, but he just couldn't figure it out. Baili Daohua had no choice but to deliberately have an idea and said, "I got it." Hua Xiaobao was delighted and asked, "Do you have a solution?" Baili Daohua did not answer him immediately, but moved to Hua Xiaobao's side. Let Hua Xiaobao feel her enthusiasm and beauty as much as possible. This trick is very effective. Smelling the fragrance emanating from Baili Daohua, Hua Xiaobao felt refreshed. Baili Daohua then said, "Boss, go to my workplace." "Are you talking about gambling?" Hua Xiaobao suddenly realized. "That's right. If you want to double your money quickly, the only way is gambling." Seeing that Hua Xiaobao was a little hesitant, Baili Daohua simply moved closer to him, took Hua Xiaobao's arm, and leaned half of her body against him. Suddenly a faint fragrance filled the air. Baili Daohua even put her red lips close to his ear, exhaled sweetly, and whispered, "Have you forgotten? I'm the dealer, isn't it easy for you to win money?" Hua Xiaobao was startled and turned to look at the beautiful woman with a rosy face who was so close to him. "My heart is pounding." After a moment's hesitation, he said, "Is it illegal for us to do this?" Baili Daohua hugged Hua Xiaobao's arms tighter, allowing him to fully feel her tenderness. She continued to seduce him and said, "Boss, if you don't tell me about this and I don't tell you, who will know about it?" "But what if someone finds out?" Hua Xiaobao said. Baili Daohua had already done her homework on this. She let go of Hua Xiaobao and came to face him. Then he pulled out a new deck of cards from his purse. "Open the package, turn it over, and draw a snake-shaped semicircle with your hand." Then she said, "Take a look at this deck. Is there anything wrong with it?" This is going to be a live performance, and Hua Xiaobao became interested. He took a look and saw that they were all from A to K. "No problem," Hua Xiaobao said. "Good." Baili Daohua took the playing cards back, and then the whole deck came alive in her hands. With a gentle scrape of the thumb, a round fan opens up. The movement is graceful and beautiful. There is a professional term for this called opening the fan. With a slight flick of his finger, the fan was retracted. With the movement of the 10 fingers of both hands, the playing cards were immediately cut into 5 pieces, which were moved back and forth between her 10 fingers and finally put together. This is called cutting the cards. Then cut the cards into 2 and shuffle them alternately. This is the most common alternate shuffle. With a pull of both hands, the whole deck of cards turns into a long snake and then falls back to one place. This is called the python falling cards. Then her movements became faster and faster, and the deck of cards in his hand kept changing form and flying around. Hua Xiaobao was dazzled by what he saw. Finally, he took the cards in his left hand, pushed them lightly with his thumb, and a card flew out in a spiral. Gently catch it with your right hand, push it with your left thumb, and gently catch it with your right hand again, and repeat the action continuously. This card shooting trick is very cool. Baili Daohua stopped, put all the cards together, and held them in front of Hua Xiaobao. With a smile on his face, he asked, "Boss, do you want to cut the cards?" Hua Xiaobao finally saw that this was a real card-playing master. Since he is playing, of course he has to cut the cards. He raised his hand and cut it casually. Baili Daohua asked again, "Boss, now it's just the two of us playing, what cards do you want? Can you give me any card I want?" Hua Xiaobao became more and more interested. "Boss, don't doubt me, just tell me what cards you need." Baili Daohua was very confident. "Then give me a straight flush of 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay." Baili Daohua winked playfully. This temptation is really tempting. Hua Xiaobao's heart skipped a beat. Baili Daohua began to deal the cards. Her gestures were very regular and no small movements could be seen. One for Hua Xiaobao and one for myself, one for Hua Xiaobao and one for myself. After each person was dealt 5 cards, Baili Daohua put the remaining cards aside. Then he made a gesture of invitation to Hua Xiaobao and said, "Boss, please open the cards." Hua Xiaobao was a little confused. He was watching Baili Daohua the whole time and didn't see her make any small movements. He didn't believe that Baili Daohua could deal the cards he wanted, so he turned over all 5 cards at once. "I'll go. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 5 red hearts arranged in order, it is really a straight flush." Hua Xiaobao was shocked. "How did you do it?" Hua Xiaobao asked involuntarily. Baili Daohua's face was filled with a smug smile, and she said, "Boss, don't be impatient, take another look at my cards." Hua Xiaobao couldn't wait to take Baili Daohua's card. When he spread out his cards, he saw 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9, which was also a straight flush, and just enough to suppress Hua Xiaobao's cards. "This is amazing." Hua Xiaobao couldn't help but give Baili Daohua a thumbs up. Baili Daohua was very calm now. She picked up the teacup and took a sip. Said, "Boss, do you believe in my strength now?" Chapter 14, Fish Takes the Hook. Hua Xiaobao held his chin with one hand, obviously thinking seriously. Baili Daohua knew that one should strike while the iron is hot. Whether things can be accomplished depends on this final push. She put down the teacup, came to Hua Xiaobao, and hugged his arm again. She said affectionately, "Boss, Daohua believes that you are destined to become a big man. For you, I am willing to take risks." Hua Xiaobao looked at her, her eyes full of affection made his heart beat faster. Baili Daohua continued tenderly, "Boss, this world belongs to you men, but only men with courage can succeed. Now it's your turn to make a decision." Seeing that Hua Xiaobao was just looking at him and still didn't express his opinion, Baili Daohua continued, "Boss, when you succeed, Daohua can be at ease as your woman and no longer have to take risks in public, right?" Baili Daohua didn't believe that Hua Xiaobao could still hold back after saying so much. Sure enough, these words made Hua Xiaobao's heart tremble, and he asked softly, "Are you willing to be my woman?" Baili Daohua blushed appropriately, showing a girl's shyness, lowered her head, and said vaguely, "I don't know." Hua Xiaobao slowly pinched her chin and slowly lifted her head up. Looking at those charming peach blossom eyes, he asked, "Do you really want me to go gambling?" The two of them were moving intimately and were very close to each other, so they could hear each other's breathing and heartbeat. Baili Daohua bit her red lips and said, "I want to succeed with you, okay?" Hua Xiaobao did not give a direct answer, but asked again, "Do you really want me to go gambling?" At this moment, Baili Daohua's heart was a little flustered. She felt that Hua Xiaobao seemed to have noticed something, but she couldn't stop at this moment and had to continue the show. So he asked back, "Don't you believe me?" "How could I not believe you? I'm just afraid that if I lose the bet, I will lose everything," Hua Xiaobao said. "With me here, you won't lose. Haven't you seen my abilities? You have to believe in me, just like I believe that you will become a superior person, okay?" Baili Daohua said. "If something unexpected happens and I lose, will you leave me?" Hua Xiaobao said. "How could I leave you? If I leave you, how can I be the woman behind you?" Baili Daohua said. This seemed to have touched Hua Xiao deeply, and he said affectionately, "Daohua, do you know? Before, my 7 wives always beat and scolded me, making my life full of darkness. And you showed up, believed in me unconditionally, supported me, helped me, and made my life full of sunshine again. I like this feeling. I like the feeling that you depend on me, protect me, and think about me in everything. I cherish it very much. Do you understand? Baili Daohua was confused again. She felt that she had gone a little too far this time, and it was very likely that she had gotten out of control. But she had no choice. If she failed, she would pay a heavy price, so she could only continue acting. She reached out and held Hua Xiaobao's face, and said, I will always be with you until the day you succeed, okay? After saying this against her will, she suddenly felt extremely uncomfortable and wanted to stop her current behavior. The fall of the family, the death of both parents, and the huge debt are all acceptable. But life forces me to sell my body and conscience in order to survive. It's really unfair and uncomfortable. She now has no idea whether she can deceive Hua Xiaobao, and her future is bleak. Her hand slowly dropped from Hua Xiaobao's face, tears silently rolled down from the corners of her eyes, and she felt extremely depressed. Hua Xiaobao had only seen the woman being angry with him, and had never seen a woman cry in front of him, so he suddenly felt at a loss. He quickly said, okay, I won't tease you anymore. Let's go to the casino and show off our skills together, okay? You are lying. You don't believe me at all. Baili Daohua said, crying. Ouch. It was really painful to see a woman cry, especially Daohua, the first woman who had been nice to him. Hua Xiaobao quickly took out a bank card and stuffed it into Baili Daohua's hand. He said, all my money is here. I'm giving it to you now. We'll do whatever you say, okay? Baili Daohua was shocked. She immediately stuffed the bank card back into Hua Xiaobao's hand, turned around, picked up her bag and ran away. Yes, at this moment of success, she regretted it. Hua Xiaobao quickly caught up and shouted, Daohua, where are you going? Don't follow me, I'm going to the bathroom. Baili Daohua cried and yelled at Hua Xiaobao. Hua Xiaobao returned to his seat in frustration. He really couldn't understand why Daohua was crying and running away even though he was willing to give her all the money. Women are so confusing. In fact, he had already noticed that Baili Daohua was different, but he was not sure about her purpose. Was it to defraud his own money or just to attract customers to the casino? But no matter which one it is, he doesn't care now. When he saw Baili Daohua crying, he knew that Daohua must have her own difficulties. When Baili Daohua stuffed the bank card back into his hand, he knew that Taohua's heart was not necessarily bad. What's more, the master had instructed in the letter that he must marry this extraordinary woman home. From that moment on, he had decided to play along and continue the drama with Baili Daohua. Also, he really wants to make the most money in the world, marry the most beautiful woman in the world, and he will work hard for it. He knew that if others heard it, it would only make people laugh. So he cherishes Baili Daohua's trust and support very much. Even though it is fake, Hua Xiaobao likes it. He preferred the feeling of being obeyed by him, which was very wonderful. It was a feeling he had never experienced before when facing his wife who always beat and scolded him. It was so wonderful. After a while, Baili Daohua came back. The tear marks on her face had dried, and there was a determination in her expression. Daohua, are you okay? Hua Xiaobao asked. Baili Daohua looked at Hua Xiaobao and mustered up the courage to say, Xiaobao. Call me boss. Baili Daohua was interrupted by Hua Xiaobao before she could finish her words. No, Xiaobao, I have something to tell you. Baili Daohua said again. Don't be in a hurry. Let's talk about it after we go to the casino and make our first pot of gold. Hua Xiaobao interrupted her again. Oh what? You forgot? You should call me boss. Oh okay, boss. Baili Daohua had already mustered up the courage to confess, but this guy wouldn't let her say it. The first push is strong, the second is weak, and the third is exhausted. This is true in war and in speech. Baili Daohua had no choice but to give up and continue to be Hua Xiaobao's assistant and call him boss. In the afternoon, Hua Xiaobao and Baili Daohua came to the square outside the casino together. There was 10,000 yuan in cash in Baili Daohua's handbag, which was to cover her expenses for the day. Hua Xiaobao looked up at the tall buildings in front of him and thought to himself, as the saying goes, 9 out of 10 gambling cases are frauds, it really is true. Before you even enter the door, you have already become a fish in someone else's mouth. Now that I think about it, I was a little impulsive in the tea house. Mainly because I was upset by the peach blossoms. I have to admit that she is really charming. Now that I have made this brave decision, it is too late to regret. I can only hope that my trump card can help me get through this dangerous situation. Taohua, let's go in. Hua Xiaobao said. Okay, boss. Baili Taohua agreed with a complicated expression. Chapter 15 Big Fish Eat Small Fish. As soon as he stepped into the casino, Hua Xiaobao was attracted by the decoration inside. He finally saw what luxury and magnificence meant. There is a straight and spacious avenue at the entrance, with a red carpet underfoot and gorgeous decorations every step you take. Walking on it makes you feel taller and more noble. In front is a tall screen wall with relief carvings of magnolia, peony and osmunthus, symbolizing wealth and prosperity. This is consistent with the feng shui principle of curves represent affection and is also conducive to the accumulation of wealth. It can also ward off ghosts. After all, casinos are places where all kinds of people mix together, and there are all kinds of monsters and demons. Hua Xiaobao has some knowledge in this area. After all, his master is a famous fortune teller. At the same time, he thought to himself that Taohua was right, this master was indeed particular. After passing the screen wall, there is a 3-stage staircase sloping downward in front of you. It is very wide and golden in color, and looks like a golden waterfall flowing downwards. Hua Xiaobao stopped and thought, the owner of this casino is really a man who pays attention to feng shui. This casino must be built on a dragon vein. Isn't the golden waterfall flowing down money? The underground casino is like a huge pond, where all the money flowing in can only flow in but not out. Great. Add to that the magnificent view above, it's simply indescribable. Hua Xiaobao didn't want to be the flowing water of money, so he turned to Baili Taohua and asked, is there any other way to get to this casino? Baili Taohua was puzzled and asked, there is an elevator and an employee passage over there, but why don't we go down here? Of course Hua Xiaobao would not take the employee passage, because wouldn't that make him a servant serving the casino? Then let's take the elevator. Hua Xiaobao did not explain to Baili Taohua. Okay, you're the boss, you have the final say. Baili Taohua was in a complicated mood and didn't have time to think too much. The two took the elevator to the casino, and Hua Xiaobao was dumbfounded. Blackjack, baccarat, roulette, sikbo, pai gow, fantan, slot machines, etc. There are so many different ways to play that it's dizzying. There were all kinds of people moving back and forth inside, including waiters, public relations, security guards, loan sharks, and more gamblers. It was a bustling place. People who gamble are all crazy. In their eyes, money is no different from life, and it is also like a dream, a bubble, fleeting. Few of them will return with a full load, and most of them will lose everything. The wealthy Jing people are willing to spend a lot of money, to make a small investment for a big gain, and to make a big investment for a rich one. This kind of excitement makes their blood boil and everyone is addicted to it. Holding red wine, throwing chips, laughing wildly, drinking heartily, forgetting everything else, it was somewhat pathetic and ridiculous. Hua Xiaobao immediately calmed down. He remembered what his master had said, every extraordinary person will inevitably encounter a disaster. He didn't know if this was his doom, but he knew that he must not sink into it like those gamblers. Follow Baili Taohua to the counter and exchange chips. Baili Taohua said, boss, I have to go to work. You can play for a while by yourself. I will ask someone to call you later. Hua Xiaobao glanced at her and said, okay, I'll take a look around first. He then left with the box of chips. Looking at Hua Xiaobao's back, Baili Taohua had difficulty describing what she was feeling. She was really finding it increasingly difficult to understand this person. Since you've seen through my trap, why did you come? Do you really like me? Or are you just being fearless? But you are so young, and your speech is still childish, how capable can you be? What? You can't bear to let go. A man's voice sounded beside Baili Taohua. Turning around, I saw a man with a formal suit over his shoulders. What nonsense are you talking about? Baili Taohua said. It doesn't matter if you are reluctant, just let him go. There are other big fish today, your account can also be offset. Said Gu Jianlong. What do you mean? What do you mean there are other fish? Baili Taohua had a bad feeling. The boss has made an appointment with someone from Singapore. The game will start in an hour. You will be the dealer then. You know what to do, right? Said Gu Jianlong. Why do you drag me into this big fight? Can't you just find someone else? Baili Daohua became a little worried. We don't trust other people's technology. Besides, this can solve your debt problem, isn't that good? Go Jianlong still said calmly. I don't want to get involved in your affairs. Baili Daohua said. It's too late. You already know about this. You have no choice. The over-shoulder dragon said aggressively. No, I won't do it, and I won't tell anyone about your affairs. Baili Daohua was a little scared, but she still made her attitude clear. This is not up to you. If you don't do it, aren't you afraid that people will find out about what you did before? Seeing that she didn't agree, Go Jianlong simply threatened her. I was just doing small things before, and those I cheated were not good people. The amounts were not large, and, in order to pay off my debts, I gave it all to you. Can't you just let me go? Baili Daohua was scared, and there was a hint of begging in her tone. It is only natural that a son should pay for his father's debts. You can't put the blame on us. Also, if what you did gets out, not only will the casino give you trouble, but I believe those who have sat at your gambling table will not let you go either. Wu Jianlong did not let Baili Daohua go because of her begging, but intensified her threats. Baili Daohua was so angry that she couldn't speak. Also, when setting up a scheme next time, don't always team up with a friend. It's easy for people to find out. This sentence was a fatal blow to Baili Daohua, and she immediately softened her attitude. What exactly do you want? Baili Daohua compromised. Your friend, don't come to disrupt things tonight. That little bit of capital is not presentable, so as not to ruin the boss's good deeds. As for you, just do what you should do when the time is right. I believe you don't need me to teach you this. Go Jianlong's tone was very calm, as if everything was expected. You have to promise that nothing will happen tonight, otherwise I won't agree to you. Baili Daohua said these words in vain. Don't worry, we won't cause any trouble for ourselves. We are all just looking for money. As long as you cooperate, nothing will happen. Go Jianlong also knew that in order to get people to do things, they had to feel at ease, so his tone became much better. Okay then, I'll do it. I hope you won't lie to me. Baili Daohua said reluctantly, which was considered an agreement. Don't worry, from now on we are family and will take care of each other. The dragon with the shoulder said jokingly. Who are you family with? Baili Daohua turned and left. She didn't want to have any more interactions with this person. Looking at the receding figure of Baili Daohua, Go Jianlong said to himself, soon, we will be a family, and I will call you sister-in-law. Obviously, things are not as simple as Baili Daohua thought. Hua Xiaobao is the fish caught by Baili Daohua, and Baili Daohua is just the fish caught by the person behind Go Jianlong. In any era, big fish eat small fish, and small fish eat shrimps. This is just the law of nature. Chapter 16, Ugly Man is Arrogant. Hua Xiaobao was wandering around the casino with a box of chips. He didn't place any bets but was just observing. There are so many ways to play and so many rules in the casino that it's dizzying. I finally found an empty table and sat down. The game played here is sick bow, and there are many ways to place bets. You can bet on odd or even, big or small, or on points. There are many different bets and the odds are different. Hua Xiaobao asked around and found out that the one with the highest odds was dice betting, with odds of 1:150. It's really violent. The dice have 3 identical numbers. The chance of this happening is small, and if you bet on the right number, the chance becomes even smaller. After understanding the rules, Hua Xiaobao played a few rounds and lost all of them. $10,000 was gone in the blink of an eye. It turns out that casinos are really places that rip people off. Hua Xiaobao didn't want to keep losing like this, so he focused his attention and looked at the dice cup, and the number of points inside became clear immediately. Sure enough, the wordless book is great. 4, 5, 6, big. He smiled slightly, remembering what Baili Daohua said, that casinos are really a place to make quick money. He took out 10,000 chips and bet big, which was the maximum amount that could be bet at the gambling table in the hall. If he wanted to bet bigger, he had to go to a private room. Buy it and leave it. Zhuang, he said. Hua Xiaobao took his hand away from the gambling table. Open. 15. In this way, Hua Xiaobao earned 10,000 yuan and recovered all the losses he had just suffered. Soon, the next round began. The dealer covers the dice and presses a button, and the dice starts spinning at high speed inside. Sir, would you like to place another bet? The dealer was a man who spoke politely but without any emotion. Hua Xiaobao held his chin with his hand and thought, waiting for the sound in the dice cup to quiet down. I gathered my attention and looked again, and saw 3 sixes. It turned out to be a leopard. Hua Xiaobao was a little nervous. He looked at the chip box in his hand and asked, "Can I go all in?" The dealer still said in a standard tone, "I'm sorry, sir, the maximum bet in the hall is 10,000. If you want to bet more, you can go to the private room, where there is no upper limit." Hua Xiaobao felt a little regretful and said, "Then I'll bet 10,000, 3 sixes. Buy it and leave it." Zhuang he said. "Open, 3 sixes." Zhuang he was shocked. He had lost a big amount of money this time. It seemed that he would not be able to report to the emperor today. Hua Xiaobao's heart was boiling with excitement. He earned more than 1 million in this one go. It was really exciting. It sent. Zhuang he quickly calmed down and counted out 1.5 million chips and gave them to Hua Xiaobao. "Sir, would you like to continue?" Zhuang he asked again. Hua Xiaobao's heart skipped a beat immediately. He looked exactly like those gamblers he saw when he first entered the door. This thing is really addictive. I want to be a superior person, how can I become a gambler? Isn't this degrading yourself? Hua Xiaobao quickly put away the chips and said, "I'm going to go somewhere else." Then he stood up and left. Zhuang he looked at Hua Xiaobao's back and immediately spoke in a low voice into the headset. Soon, a staff member followed behind Hua Xiaobao, without disturbing him or getting too close, just following him. There are 2 purposes for their appearance. One is to give special care to those who win a lot of money in the casino. To put it bluntly, it is surveillance. Let us see what he does next. Is there anything wrong? Is he cheating? There are all kinds of people in this situation. Another reason, of course, is that they don't want anyone to just walk away with the casino's winnings. At the appropriate time, they will send a beautiful female public relations officer, who will meet Hua Xiaobao by chance, and then she will continue to bring Hua Xiaobao to play here. Until he lost all the money he won back to the casino. This is why the high rollers in the casino are always accompanied by a beautiful woman. Of course, if Hua Xiaobao insisted on leaving, no one would stop him. After all, we are opening a business and we can afford to lose this little money. But how many people can withstand the temptation? Money and sex, the 2 seem difficult to separate. What's more, in such a stimulating and blood-boiling place, how many people can make completely rational decisions? Even if there were, would they still come here to gamble? Hua Xiaobao had already sensed the person behind him, but he didn't feel anything was wrong. Baili Daohua had told him all this, so he was mentally prepared. It's just a casino trick. Hua Xiaobao did not place any more bets, but just walked around and looked around. With his superpowers, he predicted the wins and losses of many people. But he didn't intervene, just watching. It seemed to be a very interesting thing. There are 100 kinds of people in the world. Some are arrogant, some are low-key, some are humble, and so on. At this time, there was such a person in the casino. The man was about 175 centimeters tall, in his 20s or 30s, a little fat, with an ugly face but a big butt. His walking posture was even more unique, with his hands on his hips, his body slightly bent forward, and the hem of his suit lifted to reveal his big fat butt. He had 2 stacks of red bills in his back pocket, with most of them sticking out, as if he was afraid that others didn't know he was very rich. As he walked, his arms swayed to the left and to the right, and the 2 stacks of red bills also swayed to the left and to the right. When he saw a beautiful girl passing by, he would take out a few red bills from his back pocket and stuff them directly into the girl's chest. This put the girls in a dilemma. Should I be angry? Or should I be angry? By the time they figured it out, this heroic old man had already walked away with his 2 followers. His 2 followers were relatively normal. One was a woman who was dressed up glamorously and wore heavy makeup, like a receptionist. The other man was an old man in his 50s, about 1.6 meters tall, with an ordinary appearance, wearing a pair of glasses and holding a large plate of chips in his hand. Who is he? What is his background? How can he be so arrogant? Not far in front of him was a middle-aged man in his 40s, dressed in a suit and looking very gentle. And standing next to him was a man in a suit and tie, whispering something in the man's ear. The man was slightly surprised and asked, "Are you saying that guy won more than 1 million? The over-shoulder dragon nodded and said, yes. The man thought for a moment and said, then let him come to the table. There's no reason to refuse the money that comes right to your door. Go Jianlong immediately nodded and said, understood. I'll arrange it right away. Then he turned and left. At this time, the heroic ugly old man came close to the man. The man immediately extended his hand and said with a smile, Boss Yi, welcome, welcome. The fat uncle tickled the man's butt before holding his hand. Old Zheng. A round of polite greetings. Old Zheng took the generous Boss Yi upstairs and into a private room. There was a round gambling table in the private room. Baili Taohua, wearing a work suit, was standing at the card-dealing position. The two people who came in just took a look and sat down separately. The woman brought by Boss Yi sat next to him. The man in his 50s put the chips on the table and stood behind her. Boss Yi asked, Old Zheng, when will the show start? Lao Zheng looked at the open door and said with a smile, don't worry, it's boring for the two of us to play together, let's wait a little longer. Chapter 17 The gambling begins. There is a rule in the casino's private rooms: if the door of a private room is open, it means anyone can go in and gamble as long as you have money. If the door is closed, it means that the place is closed to visitors and the people inside have already started performing and others cannot disturb them. What Lao Zheng meant at this time was to wait and see if anyone would come in. Soon, Hua Xiaobao came to the door of the room under the guidance of a staff member. Hua Xiaobao looked up and saw Baili Taohua, then walked in. But Baili Taohua was shocked. She looked up at Lao Zheng with many questions in her eyes. Didn't they say they would let him go? Why was he here again? The words of over-shoulder dragon were indeed unreliable. But she couldn't say anything at this moment and could only act according to circumstances. Hua Xiaobao naturally wouldn't say hello to her, wouldn't that be revealing his true identity? He found a random seat and sat down, then put the chips on the table. Boy, you dare to enter the private room with such little bargaining chips. Hua Xiaobao looked in the direction of the sound. So ugly. And your words are so harsh, have I offended you? This man has such a strange appearance, could he be the legendary? Yes, I am the legendary Singapore and Malaysia Three Realms poker prince, Yi Jingwei. Hua Xiaobao hadn't finished his sarcasm yet when he was interrupted by this self-satisfied guy. Well, your looks really suit you to the title of prince. Hua Xiaobao said sarcastically. HMPH. Boy, this is not a place for children to play. If you surrender now, you will lose half. Take the rest of the money and go home to your mother. Yi Jingwei said. Yes. Little boy, the show will start soon. Even if you want to regret it, it will be too late. The girl next to him also laughed at Hua Xiaobao. It's okay for children to pay for a lesson, as long as they don't cry. Ha 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 ha. Several people immediately started making fun of Hua Xiaobao. Damn it. You look down on others. You will be in trouble when the time comes. Hua Xiaobao is so depressed. What are you laughing at? You look so happy. Following the voice, another middle-aged man appeared. He had steady steps, outstanding temperament, and the demeanor of a successful man. He was followed by two tall and strong men, who were obviously bodyguards. When he saw the person coming, Lao Zheng immediately stood up and said, Mr. Chen, why are you here? Obviously, the appearance of Mr. Chen was very unexpected to Lao Zheng. What? Can't I come? Mr. Chen asked back. No, no, you have the final say in this place. How can you not come, said Lao Zheng. He obviously said this on purpose. Casino taxes are very high every year, and in order to ensure their own profits, casinos will auction off some private rooms. The auction price will naturally be very high, so the casino can not only solve the tax problem but also obtain huge profits. In order to maximize their own profits, the owners of these auction rooms obviously cannot wait for customers to come to them on their own initiative. If the casino could make a lot of money that way, it wouldn't auction off the private rooms. So, they hired a lot of people to solicit customers everywhere, using all kinds of methods. At the same time, he would also host some gambling games himself. And this Mr. Chen is the boss who contracted several private rooms. Lao Zheng is a loan shark. He knows Mr. Chen, but his status cannot be compared with Mr. Chen. The gap is too big. The auction amount of a private room is over 100 million yuan a year, and Mr. Chen owns several of them. In Australia, money makes the difference. Mr. Chen waved his hand, and one of his men put the box of chips on the table. It looked like there were no less than 5 or 6 million chips. I'm going to play with you today, don't you have any objections? Mr. Chen had already sat down as he spoke. No, no. Lao Zheng smiled bitterly. In fact, he was a little nervous. Why did Mr. Chen appear here? Could it be that the little girl went to complain? He raised his head and glanced at Baili Daohua. Baili Daohua had a blank expression on her face. In fact, he was also worried. Why did Mr. Chen come? It seemed that Lao Zheng didn't know either. Do I need to take care of him when I deal the cards? Do I dare to play tricks in front of Mr. Chen? She looked at Hua Xiaobao again and said apologetically, I'm sorry, I can't control the situation now. I hope you will be fine. No matter who you are, as long as you bring chips, I welcome you. Yi Jingwei seemed to not care at all who gambled with him. At this time, Go Jianlong also sent Lao Zheng's chips in, and then stood behind him without moving. Let's start. Mr. Chen said. The door closed and Baili Daohua began to deal the cards. The game today is poker. Each person is dealt 2 cards first, 1 hidden card and 1 visible card. The minimum stakes are 10,000. The one with the biggest card gets to speak. Hua Xiaobao looked up and saw that he had no chance of winning with his cards, so he gave up decisively. As a result, Lao Zheng won the first game. In the next few rounds, Hua Xiaobao's cards were relatively small and were also discarded. But the others fought back and forth several times and staged several major battles. Lao Zheng lost the most. He brought a total of 5 million, but now he only had more than 1 million left. His face looked very ugly, and there was a fire in his heart. The look he gave Baili Daohua was almost murderous. Replace her. Lao Zheng pointed at Baili Daohua and said. What? Can't afford to lose. Want to take it out on a dealer? Yi Jingwei said. At this moment, he had won the most and his tone was the most arrogant. Although Lao Zheng was very suspicious of Baili Daohua, how could he dare to say it out loud at this moment? One reason is because of Mr. Chen, but the main reason is that he himself is not clean. If Baili Daohua gets angry, she will tell everyone what happened behind the scenes. Then there is no need for old Jing to hang around in this casino anymore. Cheating is a big taboo in a casino. He said, this woman is too beautiful. She affects my gambling luck. Let's change her. Yi Jingwei said, I don't care. If you want to change, please do it quickly. I don't have time to play with you slowly. Mr. Chen nodded. From beginning to end, no one asked Hua Xiaobao what he thought. Baili Daohua was replaced with a nervous mood. She didn't dare to have any opinions, nor could she have any opinions. This is her job, she can only be assigned and has no autonomy. The gambling continues. In this hand, Hua Xiaobao got a pair of old kings, one in the open and one in the hidden, and the current card is also the biggest. He looked at the cards that had not been dealt yet and found that as long as no one folded, he would have 4 kings, which would be the biggest hand. As for the others, Lao Zheng will have 4 QS, the other 2 players, Yi Jingwei will have a small straight, and Mr. Chen will have a slightly bigger one, but unfortunately it's almost a straight flush. It would be nice if the last card was a spade. This one is a sure win. K is the biggest, speak. The dealer motioned Hua Xiaobao to speak. Boy, you're not going to fold again, are you? Are you really here just to play with me? It would be fine if you were a woman, but unfortunately, although you are beautiful, you are a man. This was too insulting, but Hua Xiaobao blushed and threw in 100,000 chips, saying, 100,000, follow if you can. Har har har, follow me if you want. I have so much money, I'm not afraid that I can't kill you. Yi Jingwei said. HMPH. I just want you to take the bait. Hua Xiaobao thought to himself, this person is so ugly and speaks so badly, it's really disgusting. The other 2 companies each invested 100,000. Next, each person is dealt another card. Lao Zheng has another Queen Q, plus the 2 cards in his hand, making it 3. The other 2 companies are all developing towards Shunzi. Hua Xiaobao got a 3 of spades. Har har har. You spent 100,000 yuan to buy a mistress. Boy, do you want to continue? Yi Jingwei began to tease Hua Xiaobao again. Hua Xiaobao seemed to be angry too, and said, as long as you follow, I will follow. This time, the Queen Q speaks. Lao Jing threw in 100,000 yuan and said, 100,000 yuan. Apparently this is fishing. As a result, everyone followed suit. Another card was issued, and Hua Xiaobao got the K as expected, and now it was his turn to speak. Yi Jingwei next to him said again, boy, you won't be a coward, a pair of old KS, not small. Hua Xiaobao is really going to be pissed off by this guy. The game is already decided, and I believe no one will give up. The only worry is that this ugly, fat guy won't keep up. Okay. Then let's make a big bet. I still have 1.35 million here. I'm going to make a bet. If you have the guts, just follow me. Anyone who doesn't follow me is a coward. Hua Xiaobao said angrily. Chapter 18, Death Situation. Hua Xiaobao had already lost the game before the last card was dealt, looking as if he was pissed off by Yi Jingwei. I have plenty of money, I'll accompany you. Yi Jingwei said nonchalantly. Then he threw in 1.35 million chips. Lao Jing looked at his chips and said, that's about all I have left. 1,350,000. I'll keep you company. After saying that, he turned to Mr. Chen and said, Mr. Chen, what about you? There seemed to be a hint of provocation in his tone. Obviously, he thought he had won. How could I not follow this kind of situation? As he spoke, Mr. Chen also counted out 1.35 million chips and threw them into the center of the table. Deal, he then said. This was the biggest bet on the table today. Hua Xiaobao was a little nervous and stared at the dealer's hand. As expected, Lao Jing got a Q and was very satisfied. Yi Jingwei got a straight and looked indifferent. Hua Xiaobao got a K, and it seemed that he had already won, but he secretly suppressed his emotions and did not show it. But when he saw the last card dealt to Mr. Chen, his eyes narrowed and his heart beat wildly. It should have been a 6 of diamonds, but it turned out to be a 6 of spades, which meant that his hand became a straight flush. A straight flush is bigger than 4 of a kind, and this time Hua Xiaobao collapsed. It's over. I lost everything. The 6 of spades should be at the bottom of the deck. How did it get dealt? Damn. They actually cheated. More than 1 million was gone just like that. Keep thinking about it in your mind. It seems that both Lao Zhang and he were set up. The one who sets the game is, of course, the final winner. Mr. Chen, he won the most money. Or Yi Jingwei. Or are they two partners? Sorry, for queens. Lao Jing didn't know the situation yet. He turned over his cards and felt a little proud. Yi Jingwei simply threw the cards away, still looking indifferent. Looking at Hua Xiaobao's paralyzed appearance, he jokingly said, since you are so scared, I will turn over the cards for you. Hey! For kings, Lao Zheng, it seems his cards are bigger than yours. He should be the winner. What? Lao Zheng almost jumped up. This was completely unexpected for him. Why are you in such a hurry? I haven't even opened my cards yet. As he spoke, Mr. Chen turned over his cards, and it was the 8 of spades, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, a straight flush. Everyone was shocked, and Lao Zheng was even more disheartened. He now understood completely that he was being set up. It's ridiculous that he thought he was setting up the game. Not only did he not win any money, he even lost his original capital, and even gave up the cooked duck Hua Xiaobao. How sad. How ridiculous. This is the essence of gambling, all of them are fraud. Everyone prepared to leave without caring about Hua Xiaobao, who had lost everything. After all, he lost what he deserved, and Lao Jing accepted it because he couldn't beat Mr. Chen. The one who was supposed to win won, and Hua Xiaobao, the duck that was delivered to the door, was eaten up by others, so there was nothing to be nostalgic about. Wait a minute. Hua Xiaobao shouted loudly. What? Are you not convinced? Yi Jingwei laughed. Hua Xiaobao was of course not convinced. How could he accept that someone cheated him and won his money? But he has no evidence, so he can't accuse others of cheating. Even if he does, it will be useless because if others dare to cheat, they won't be afraid of you telling them. Little brother, do you still want to gamble? But do you have any money? The woman next to Yi Jingwei said teasingly. She was very happy because the man won money, and of course she had a share of it. Hua Xiaobao took out a bank card and slapped it on the table, saying harshly, 5 million, is that enough? Wow. You're really rich. Enough. Of course enough. Yi Jingwei said with a smile, and then he sat down. Mr. Chen also sat back down and said with a smile, "Then I'll play 2 more rounds with you." However, the corner of Lao Zheng's mouth twitched. Of course he would not join the game again. That was something only a fool would do. He said, "I don't have any money, so I won't play anymore, but I'm still interested in taking a look." He sat back too. Hua Xiaobao said, "Before we start, I have a condition." Mr. Chen frowned and said, "What are the conditions? Tell me." "Change the cards, change the people." Hua Xiaobao pointed at the dealer and said. Mr. Chen's heart sank. Could it be that this guy saw something? But even if he saw it, what would happen? What could he do? "I'm not afraid of replacing people, but if someone replaces me, does that mean he or she is no longer mine?" Even if he didn't cheat, he could still be defeated by Yi Jingwei, and he teamed up. "No problem, I promise. I have no objection either." Yi Jingwei also said. "I don't trust the people in the casino. I want him to deal the cards." Hua Xiaobao raised his hand and pointed at Go Jianlong. This was completely unexpected. Mr. Chen said, "This is not good." Hua Xiaobao said, "What's wrong with this? Isn't it just dealing cards? Doesn't he know how to do it? Or will he cheat? Or do you prefer someone else, Mr. Chen?" Although this was not said explicitly, it was quite heartbreaking. At this time, Lao Zheng said, "I think it's okay." He pointed at the dragon and said, "This kid, although he's a little clumsy, he can still deal a card. I guarantee here that he will not do anything tricky, nor will he favor any party. He will be absolutely fair. I will take responsibility for any problems that arise." Old Jing was full of anger and had no place to vent it. Although he didn't dare to confront Mr. Chen on the spot, he still dared to annoy him now. Although he would not let Go Jianlong cheat to help Hua Xiaobao, he could stop Mr. Chen's people from cheating. "If you are unhappy, I will feel happy. That's the truth. The enemy of my enemy is my friend, as a great man said. You cheat me a lot and I cheat you a little, is that not okay?" Since Lao Zheng has said so much, they naturally have nothing to say. You can't quit at this time, because it would be too obvious and would explain too many things. Lao Zheng will definitely jump out. If you really make Lao Zheng angry, although you are not afraid of him, you will definitely get into a lot of trouble. What's more, it was 5 million. What a tempting number. Mr. Chen and Yi Jingwei reluctantly agreed. Someone was sent to change the chips and poker cards for Hua Xiaobao, and the gambling game started again. With this change, Hua Xiaobao's luck seemed to have improved. He caught big cards one after another and won hundreds of thousands in a short time. It's another round now, and it's almost a dead end. Mr. Chen has 2 JS in his open cards, a 7 of hearts and another J in his hidden cards. Yi Jingwei has 2 A's and a 7 of spades up, and another A's in the hidden cards. Hua Xiaobao's open cards are 6, 9, and 10, all of which are clubs, and he has a hidden card. Now it was Yi Jingwei's turn to speak. He looked at Hua Xiaobao and said, "Boy, I'll give you a chance. How about surrendering and losing half?" He seemed nonchalant and seemed to be still thinking about Hua Xiaobao, but in fact, it was all tactics and he was trying to guess his cards. Get lost. If you can't afford to lose, just fold your cards. Why are you talking so much? Hua Xiaobao used direct provocation. Yi Jingwei said angrily, "Don't be so arrogant, kid. If you have the ability, follow me." 1 million. 1 million. Mr. Chen said calmly. There was no reason for him to give up his cards. Everyone looked at Hua Xiaobao and saw that he was a little hesitant. What? Are you scared? If you can't afford to lose, just fold. That's what you said. Yi Jingwei said mockingly. Just follow me. 1 million, who's afraid of who? Hua Xiaobao said angrily. Okay, you have the courage, deal the cards. Yi Jingwei was worried that this guy would not fall into the trap, but he did it when he was provoked. Moreover, the next cards dealt made him even happier. A 7 of diamonds, which appeared to be 2 pairs, actually formed a full house. Mr. Chen had a J, and secretly made it into a 4-card hand. Chapter 19. Please insult me 10 times. Hua Xiaobao has an 8 of clubs, which appears to be a flush. But if his whole card is the 7 of clubs, it would be a straight flush and a sure win. So, Chen always has 3 of a kind in the open, and he has the biggest hand. Yi Jingwei had 2 pairs, and he was second. Hua Xiaobao's trump card is unclear, so it can only be considered a scattered hand. The most likely possibility is a flush. After all, I already have 4 clubs in my hand, and I just called with 1 million. It could also be a straight flush, but there are already 3 sevens on the table, so the possibility of Hua Xiaobao getting the 7 of clubs is too small. 3 is the biggest, speaking. At this time, everyone is thinking about how to make the other party bet the most money without letting the other party know that my cards are big. 1 million. Mr. Chen didn't dare bet too much, for fear that Hua Xiaobao would run away. He was going to give it a try to see if Hua Xiaobao would follow suit. If he did, it would definitely be a flush. Hua Xiaobao is the next player. He is still hesitant. How to follow? Should he raise the bet? Regardless of that, Hua Xiaobao muttered, I just don't believe you are gourds. Then he said, 1 million, I still have 4.5 million, let's go. Boom. The whole audience was in uproar. The biggest scene finally appeared. Is he a straight flush? Impossible. There are already 3 sevens on the table. It is impossible for him to get the 4th 7 by chance. That is to say, he has a flush and wants to scare the other 2 away, but they are all old foxes. Can they be scared away? There is a high possibility that they have a full house. But is he really just a flush? Hua Xiaobao looked at Yi Jingwei and said provocatively, are you still following me now? You coward. Damn. Of course I have to follow this situation. Yi Jingwei counted the chips and found that there were only 3.5 million, and he was immediately discouraged. Said, I only have 3.5 million, is that okay? Hua Xiaobao said, of course not. But he changed the subject and said, if you are willing to give it up, add your watch, wallet, and everything your woman and your followers have. If it's not 1 million, I'll accept it. How about that? You coward. Yi Jingwei was so angry that he vomited blood. He could have let Mr. Chen fight and he could have gone in the next round, but he couldn't back down as this would expose his true colors. What's more, no matter how you look at this situation, he has the greatest chance of winning. So, he took the gamble. Okay. I'll bet with you. He took out his wallet, watch, ring, and, under the resentful expressions of his woman and his follower, all their belongings, and placed them all on the table. Then, he said viciously, boy, do you dare to bet with me again in private? Whoever loses will bark like a dog 3 times. This is going to offend people to death. Hua Xiaobao looked at the guy's disgusting face and said, let's bet. Then he looked to the other side and said, Mr. Chen, what about you? Do you want to follow? Mr. Chen has 4 JS in his hand, which are the cards he must follow. How could he possibly give up? He said, I have more than 5 million here. Wouldn't it be a big loss if I just gambled it away? But he immediately changed the subject and said, but in order not to spoil everyone's fun, I can ask you to take off your clothes if you lose. How about that? Then I have to go out in my shorts, right? Hua Xiaobao said angrily. What? Are you scared? Coward. Yi Jingwei teased. Okay. Follow me. Who's afraid of who? Hua Xiaobao said. Great. Great. Mr. Chen said as he pushed all the chips onto the table. Then he turned over his whole cards and said, for jacks, if you don't have a straight flush, get ready to take off your pants. Hey. Don't be impatient. He and I have a bet. Whoever loses has to imitate the barking of a dog 3 times. Yi Jingwei turned over his whole cards, 3 aces, a pair of 7s, and a full house. He said with a sly smile, boy, look carefully, this is a gourd, bark like a dog. Hua Xiaobao was unmoved and said calmly, take a look at my cards first, and then we can tell who wants to bark like a dog. Everyone was shocked. What? Is he really a straight flush? Yi Jingwei didn't believe it, and quickly turned over Hua Xiaobao's whole card, which was the 7 of clubs, a real straight flush. How about it? Learn to bark like a dog. Hua Xiaobao looked at Yi Jingwei with a smile. It feels so damn good to let out some anger. Let us see how you step down. You wanted to force me to bark like a dog. Now you know that you are the one who suffers. Woof. Woof woof. 3 dog barks were heard. Wow. This guy is so shameless. He can just bark like a dog and it's so smooth. He's so damn strong. I admire him. I admire him. Mr. Chen narrowed his eyes, looked at Hua Xiaobao deeply, then angrily turned away with his sleeves swung. Lao Zheng was very happy and satisfied with Hua Xiaobao. This guy looks very young, but he is actually pretending to be a pig to eat the tiger. I was very upset about being set up today, but who would have thought that in the end, this cooked duck would actually slay the dragon? It was a very satisfying thing to see his opponent suffer a defeat, and he left happily. Only Hua Xiaobao and Yi Jingwei were left on the field. Hua Xiaobao casually threw a chip worth 10,000 over and said, "Since you are from Singapore, then take $10,000 and take a flight home." "You actually insulted me," Yi Jingwei said, looking at the chips in his hand. "Oh, you have a problem with that? Then just take it back." Hua Xiaobao didn't expect that this guy who could even learn to bark like a dog so smoothly actually had his own backbone. It was really strange. "No. If you want to insult me, please insult me 10 times. As he said this, he took out 9 more chips worth 10,000 each. Forehead. Hua Xiaobao almost dropped his jaw in shock. It seemed that he had underestimated him. The most despicable person is truly invincible. "I can insult you 10 times, but you have to give your woman to me, how about that?" Hua Xiaobao said even more aggressively. "Since you are so mean, shall I test your bottom line again?" Yi Jingwei looked unhappy and said angrily, "Don't go too far." This time it seemed to have really touched his bottom line. Hua Xiaobao spread his hands and said, "You don't have to agree." Yi Jingwei hesitated. "But as the saying goes, women are like clothes, you can change them whenever you want. If you like them, just take them." He was just about to agree, but unexpectedly his woman jumped out first, hugged Hua Xiaobao's arm and rubbed it hard. She said tenderly, "Oh, handsome brother, I see that you are handsome, suave, and talented, and you are a man who cherishes women. You don't have to give him 100,000 chips. I have been waiting for you for a long time." A tilde. Hua Xiaobao got goosebumps all over his body. Here, Yi Jingwei was shaking with anger, pointing at the woman and cursing, "You stinky bitch, why did you betray me?" The woman turned her face like turning a book, with a look of disgust, and said, "You can't even last 12 seconds, what kind of man are you? Yang Jinzhong is better than you. There are better men now, why should I follow you? You actually had an affair with him. He's an old man." Yi Jingwei was so angry that his eyes were spitting fire, and he said to the follower in his 50s behind him. The woman was not afraid at all and said, "Don't be unconvinced. He is definitely better than you, 15 wonderful. But if you exercise, you may be able to catch up with him in the future. Don't be discouraged. Damn it, you bitch, I'm going to beat you to death." Yi Jingwei no longer wanted the bargaining chips in his hand, so he pounced on the woman and pushed her to the ground. Yang Jinzhong also rushed forward upon seeing this, but it was unknown whether he was helping the woman or the man. Hey tilde, the relationships between these people are so complicated. Hua Xiaobao jumped away quickly to avoid being implicated. Then he said to the staff who came in, "Hurry up, exchange the chips, these people are crazy, leave them alone for now." Hua Xiaobao exchanged the chips, and there was more than 20 million in the card, so he left the casino happily. It was already dark at this time. Standing at the door of the casino, watching people coming in and out, I felt uncomfortable. Thinking about what happened today, if I didn't have special skills, I would have lost everything. It turns out that Taohua is really a liar, so sad. She is such a beautiful person, how could she be a liar? Chapter 20. The first time is gone. Well, a man should do something earth-shattering. How can he let a woman look down on him? "Yes, I am your assistant now, and you are my boss." "Boss, do you want to invite me to dinner there?" "Boss, can you please let me go?" "I was wrong." "Boss, we're here, please get off the car." "Boss, when you succeed, Taohua will be able to be your woman at ease and no longer have to take risks in public, right?" Hua Xiaobao slowly lowered his head as he recalled what he had experienced with Baili Taohua in the past few days. "I'm very depressed. Everything seems like a dream. It makes me nostalgic and sad." But he understood one thing, beautiful women are liars. The same goes for the 7 girls at home. They must have wanted to cheat on their bodies. Fortunately, I was strong-willed and did not do as they wished, otherwise I would have suffered a great loss. "Master, the mission you mentioned may not be completed. Baili Taohua is a liar. You can't marry her." Payu. Payu. Hey. Hey. Xiaobao. Hua Xiaobao seemed to hear the voice of a female spy making a contact. It was very soft, but it penetrated into his ears. I turned around and looked, but I didn't see anyone. Huh? There was a pretty face next to a building not far away, winking at him. Isn't he this Baili Peach Blossom? Hua Xiaobao's eyes lit up. He walked over and asked, "What are you doing here?" "Waiting for you," Baili Daohua said. "Wait for me." Hua Xiaobao was a little confused. Are all the scammers so bold nowadays? They cheated me once and they want to cheat me a second time. Am I that stupid? This is not the place to talk. Come with me. Baili Daohua took his hand and walked towards the shadowy place where there were few people. Hua Xiaobao really didn't want to go. How could he go with a liar? But his feet just wouldn't listen to him, and he followed without any hesitation. When they reached the shadow, Baili Daohua let go of his hand, then took out 10,000 yuan from her bag and stuffed it into Hua Xiaobao's hand. He said, "This is all I have. Take it. Leave here and go back to the countryside. The city is not suitable for you." Hua Xiaobao is a little confused. What is going on? Besides, wasn't he this 10,000 yuan given to you by me? What are you still standing there for? Let's go. Go to the train station and buy tickets now, Baili Daohua said while pushing Hua Xiaobao. Hua Xiaobao didn't move. He was stunned for a moment, his mind working at high speed. Seems to understand something. He did not leave, but put his hands on Baili Daohua's shoulders, pushed her against the wall, and stared into his eyes. "Why do you want me to leave?" he asked. This question instantly made Baili Daohua's spirit drop. She didn't dare to look Hua Xiaobao in the eye and lowered her head. She said softly, "I know it's wrong for me to lie to you, but I can't help it. But don't worry, I will definitely pay you back when I make money. 190,000, right? I will remember it." Hua Xiaobao was stunned again, and then a plan came to his mind. He said, "It's not 190,000, it's 1.7 million. So many." Baili Daohua was shocked by the number. "Yes, I won 1.5 million in the casino hall before. Adding the previous 190,000, isn't it 1.7 million? Hua Xiaobao said. "That's also 1.69 million. Baili Daohua corrected. "Just make it a whole number. Where can I earn so much money?" Baili Daohua looked confused. "Then this is your business," Hua Xiaobao said. Baili Daohua rolled her eyes and said, "Well, Xiaobao, gambling is wrong. 9 out of 10 gambling cases are fraud. Someone set you up today, so you lost money. You should never gamble again in the future. As for the more than 1 million you lost, that was never what you deserved in the first place. Just forget it, okay? Go back to your hometown and live a good life. I will find a way to return your 190,000 yuan principal, okay?" Baili Daohua became serious in her words. "But I haven't made a big career yet, haven't earned the most money in the world, and haven't married the most beautiful woman in the world. How can I go back?" Hua Xiaobao said seriously. "Xiaobao, actually." Baili Daohua was ready to tell him the truth. Money in this world is not so easy to make, and beauty is not so easy to marry. But she was interrupted. Hua Xiaobao said, "Also, I have my first pot of gold now, but I haven't figured out how to make more money next. Don't you want to continue being my assistant?" What first pot of gold?" Baili Daohua asked sensitively. She felt as if she had missed something very important. "I have 20 million in my hand now. Without a beautiful assistant, I don't know how to spend it. Oh, it's such a headache. Hua Xiaobao looks like he deserves a beating as much as he can." Baili Daohua's eyes were no longer peach blossom eyes, but a pair of cow eyes that were almost popping out. "You have 20 million, she asked in disbelief. "Yes, a little more than 20 million. Hua Xiaobao said. "You won all their money." Baili Daohua couldn't believe it. "Yes, I won all their money," Hua Xiaobao said as if he was talking about a trivial matter. His tilder Baili Daohua took a breath of cold air. "Really?" She still couldn't believe it. "Of course it's true. What's the benefit of lying to you?" Hua Xiaobao said. "You didn't lie to me. I didn't lie to you. You really have 20 million. I really have 20 million. Ha 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 ha. Baili Daohua was almost laughing crazy. Hey, you'll look like a fool if you laugh again. Hua Xiaobao said to Baili Daohua, who had gone crazy. Aha! Barji. Baili Daohua held Hua Xiaobao's head and kissed him on the lips. Happiness came a little too suddenly, and Hua Xiaobao was a little confused. Damn. My first kiss was gone just like that. It's such a fucking loss. It's gone without even tasting it. Baili Daohua seemed to realize that her actions were a bit too much. She lowered her head, her face burning hot. It's my first time too. The beauty's face was like a blooming peach blossom, but it was too dark to see clearly. Boss, do you still need an assistant now? Baili Daohua said while secretly looking at Hua Xiaobao. Yes, I really need a beautiful, smart, obedient, sensible and money-making female assistant. Is there a suitable one? Introduce me to her. Hua Xiaobao said jokingly. Boss, what do you think of me? Baili Daohua said, patting her chest proudly. There was a tremor there. Hua Xiaobao's eyes were a little blurry. He calmed down and said, I'll think about it. Don't look at me, I'm pretty, smart, obedient, sensible, and I can bring you good luck. You've only known me for a few days, and I've made so much money. Am I not your lucky star? Baili Daohua kept praising herself and trying to sell herself. He pinched Xiaobao's chin, thought for a moment and said, What you said seems to make sense. That's right. It's settled, boss. Let's go celebrate now. Come on, let's go. I'll take you to a nice place. Baili Daohua didn't care whether Hua Xiaobao agreed or not, she just took his arm and walked away. Where are we going? Hua Xiaobao felt very happy. It turned out that if you have money you can be the boss. I wonder if she is going to a hotel, a guest house, or back to her little home. If she takes the initiative later, should I give in to her? After all, this is my first time and I want to leave a precious memory. Chapter 21, Bar Heroine. Okay. You'll know when you get there. Baili Daohua said happily. The two hailed a taxi. The subtle fragrance is floating in the air. Baili Daohua said. Okay. After a while, the two got out of the car. Hua Xiaobao looked at the sign that said, a faint fragrance floating in the air? Bar? You mean drinking when you celebrate? Yes. What else can we do to celebrate besides drinking? Baili Daohua asked puzzledly. If you don't drink, you can do other things. Otherwise, what to do? For example. Like what? Forget it. Let's just drink. Hua Xiaobao couldn't say it. Alas. It seems that I am being too sentimental. Bar, what a sentimental word. In the dim environment, brilliant lights are blooming, and deafening music, under the influence of alcohol, stimulates the desires deep in the human heart. The dancing bodies release the desire of the soul, and only by rubbing shoulders with each other can we comfort each other. The air was filled with the smell of alcohol and hormones, and handsome men and beautiful women were sinking into depravity amid the noisy shouts. Tonight is destined to be romantic. At the bar, a white-haired female bartender swayed her body gracefully. She had a head of white hair tied behind her head, and on her pretty, slightly indifferent face, she wore a pair of quaint round-framed glasses with a chain. That graceful body swayed in a slow rhythm, always 1 or 2 beats slower than the music on the dance floor, yet it was unusually harmonious and had a unique charm. The 2 wine glasses kept dancing in her hands, as if trying to awaken the alcohol sleeping in the bottle. With the DJ's shout, the explosive music stopped and was replaced by a soothing song. The female bartender also stopped and poured the liquor in the cup into a glass filled with ice cubes. Suddenly a wisp of white mist rose up, like a dream, and very beautiful. At this time, Baili Daohua pulled Hua Xiaobao to sit across from them and shouted across the bar, Okay. Okay glanced at her, then looked at Hua Xiaobao, examining him carefully. Hua Xiaobao was very embarrassed. Although my brother is handsome, suave, and talented, you don't have to look at him that way. This drink is for you. Just when Hua Xiaobao was about to blush, Okay pushed a freshly mixed cocktail over to him. How can I feel embarrassed when you're so polite? Hua Xiaobao said shyly. Don't think too much. This wine is to give you courage. Okay said. What do you mean? Hua Xiaobao didn't understand. Okay raised her beautiful eyebrows. Are you winking at me? Hua Xiaobao was even more confused. Aku was speechless and said unhappily, Look behind you. I understand. When a beautiful girl winks at me, she means she wants me to see her back. Hua Xiaobao turned his head and saw a man wearing a suit, a crooked tie, and his hair was combed shiny. He was in his 20s, very handsome but a bit ruffian. He was hugging a pretty girl who was scantily clad, standing behind Hua Xiaobao, and looking at Baili Taohua with ill intentions. Seeing Baili Taohua turning around and looking at him, he said in a familiar voice, "Introduce myself. I am the one who is feared all over the world, who has killed people everywhere, who is romantic but not vulgar, who is sexy but not offensive, who is known as the contemporary Tang Bohu, who is elegant and charming in bed. My last name is Chu and my name is Xionghua. Please give me your guidance." Baili Taohua felt disgusted. Is this guy a crosstalk performer? But Hua Xiaobao's senses are completely different. This guy is really good, he is very eloquent, his opening lines are much better than ordinary jingles, and they are very cool. It sounds really cool, I want to get one someday. At this time, Ake slapped the bar counter and flipped out. The movements are graceful and beautiful. It is obvious that the female hero sees injustice and is willing to draw her sword to help. But her chest was so big that she couldn't even button her shirt, and one of the buttons fell off. It was caught by Hua Xiaobao, who was quick-eyed and quick-handed. Lady Ake stepped forward and protected Baili Taohua behind her. Said to Chu Xionghua, "You seem to have missed a lot." Chu Xionghua raised his eyebrows and asked, "What did you miss?" He's invincible in the kindergarten. He's brave enough to break into the girls' restroom. He's very elegant. He grabs people's breasts for no reason. He rushes forward when he sees a girl. He doesn't pay for girls. He's handsome. He's a famous shotgun man. He has a caterpillar in his pocket. He insists on being a big dragon. He's a little whirlwind in bed. He takes less than a minute to do something. He's invincible at the gambling table. He's known as the 102nd man killer, right? Aku remained calm and used her equally outstanding eloquence to expose Chu Xionghua's true colors. Hua Xiaobao sighed again, "I admire you. Everyone in this bar is talented." Chu Xionghua's true identity was exposed, but he refused to admit it and said, "Beauty, I am a gentleman, don't say anything nonsense." Then he pushed Aku aside, stretched out his hand to Baili Taohua and said, "Beautiful lady, let me meet you." At this time, Hua Xiaobao stepped in front of him, touched his chest, and grabbed a handful of small square bags. He smiled and said, "What is this?" Chu Xionghua's face turned green. This guy was too quick, but there was no way he would admit that this was his safety product. He slapped it away and said, "This is not mine. Don't wrongly accuse a good person." Hua Xiaobao knew that he would not admit it, so he reached towards his waist again and pulled out a pair of shorts. Written on it are two large characters written with great effort, "Break through 1 minute as soon as possible, killer hero." Hua Xiaobao raised the pants in his hand and said, "This is yours, right?" Boom! The place suddenly became lively, and everyone started discussing. It really took only 1 minute. Chu Xionghua quickly pulled up the waistband of his pants and looked inside, and it was really his. How did this guy pull it out? He quickly pulled up his pants and stuffed them into his pocket. Hua Xiaobao looked behind him again and saw a small pair of shorts, which were hollow. Hua Xiaobao said, "This one is yours too." Chu Xionghua took a look and felt very confident. He laughed and said, "Har har har, this is really not mine. You made a mistake." But his happiness was not over yet. The girl next to him clamped her legs together, took the thing from Hua Xiaobao's hand, and said in a delicate voice, "Brother Xiong, this is mine." What? Chu Xionghua was furious. "I don't mind if you joke with a grown man like me, but if you dare to tease my woman, you're looking for death." He waved his hand, and 8 strong men walked out behind him, all with well-developed chest muscles. Hua Xiaobao was stunned. Wow! How did these people practice? Can you teach me? At this time, Aku realized that the situation was not right, so she lowered her head and said to Hua Xiaobao and Baili Taohua, "Hurry up and leave through the back door." Then, she stood in front of the 8 burly men. As a man, how could Hua Xiaobao stand behind a woman? Do you still want to keep your dignity as a man? Bang! A burly man smashed the tempered glass table with one punch. Hua Xiaobao's heart trembled. He thought to himself, "Let's not save face anymore, my life is more important, let's run away quickly." "Taohua, where is the back door?" "Let's go," Hua Xiaobao said hurriedly. Baili Taohua ignored him, picked up the 2 wine bottles on the table beside her, and stood next to Okay. Is your love life so fierce? How come I didn't see it before? There are other women who have had sex with me, should I have sex with them? Hua Xiaobao was very hesitant. There had been many fights in the village, but he had never encountered 8 big men. Chapter 22, I'll let you do whatever you want, okay? Do you want to go or not? He didn't have time to think about this question, as 8 burly men had already surrounded him. Baili Taohua was quick-eyed and quick-handed, with skillful movements. She raised her hands and clanged and hit the 2 foreheads without any hesitation. Both of them had blows on their foreheads, making them dizzy. This is a veteran. Aku over there was more powerful. He kicked one man on the temple with a high whip kick and knocked him to the ground. This woman is so fierce. No, both women are so fierce. This was not the end yet. After landing, Okay kicked again and knocked down another person. At this point, no matter how thick-skinned Xiaobao was, he couldn't leave. He imitated Baili Taohua, picked up a wine bottle on the table next to him, and joined the battle. At this moment, someone happened to grab Baili Taohua's arm. Hua Xiaobao didn't say anything, raised the wine bottle and smashed it on the guy's head. Boom tilde. Huh? Why didn't it break? When I looked up, I saw that it was foreign liquor. The guy was a little dizzy, but he didn't fall down. Hua Xiaobao didn't show any mercy and raised his hand to hit him again with great force. The wine bottle broke, and the man also fainted, falling down dizzy. At this time, the 2 people who were hit by Baili Taohua shook their heads and woke up. With anger in their eyes, they gathered around Baili Taohua. Baili Taohua was not afraid at all. She took the initiative to attack again, and hit one of the men directly in the crotch with a kick that could kill him. Ouch tilde, with a wail, the man squatted down with his legs clamped together. Awesome. Hua Xiaobao gave her a thumbs up. At the same time, he was not a coward either. He followed suit and kicked the other person with the same kick that could have cut off his offspring. However, the man had anticipated this and clamped Hua Xiaobao's feet with his legs together, with a sly grin on his face. Who is Hua Xiaobao? As a person who has been fighting with Wang Ermezi since childhood, what kind of insidious tricks has he not used? He immediately poked my eyes with 2 fingers. The man was so frightened that he quickly put out his hands to block it, and at the same time his feet loosened. Hua Xiaobao took the opportunity to get closer and used the fairy stealing peaches trick, and I'll crush you to pieces. Ouch tilde. The big man also has a soft spot. If he clamps his legs together, he will also scream. Hua Xiaobao slammed his forehead forward. R tilde, the big man covered his bleeding nose and fell down. How cruel. Baili Taohua shuddered at the sight. But this was only a moment, and she picked up the bottle of wine beside her and drank it again. Over there, Okay is the real master. The straight punch, hook punch, swing punch, front kick, back kick, side kick, high whip kick and side kick are so fast that it is hard to keep up. 4 or 5 men beat her, but they were defeated one by one. The bar was in chaos, but there were no screams or sounds of fear. There were only cheers. Of course, the people of the great Dayan Dynasty like to watch the fun the most. How could you not watch such a lively event? Wouldn't that mean you would have one less thing to talk about? Bang! With the sound of the power switch being pulled, their whole bar instantly lit up and the music stopped. Everyone's actions also stopped. Hua Xiaobao and the other 2 were exhausted and out of breath. The 8 opponents all got up, as if they were going to surround the 3 people again. At the door, a group of security guards rushed in. Aku reacted the fastest. She pulled Baili Taohua up and ran, shouting, "Run!" This is a friendly reminder to Hua Xiaobao. When it comes to running away, Hua Xiaobao doesn't need anyone to teach him, and his movements are just as fast as Akei's. Relying on his familiarity with the place, Aku went through doors on the left and alleys on the right, and confused the 8 burly men in the bar. Finally, the 3 managed to escape through the back door. There was a Harley parked there, and it was a modified one. It was so attractive. When Hua Xiaobao saw it for the first time, he said, "I must get one too." He was just envious of the car owner when Akei had already sat on it. Baili Taohua also climbed onto the back seat skillfully and put his arms around her waist. Oh my god! I want to sit too. This was Hua Xiaobao's inner cry. But there was no place for him at all, and the accelerator was already stepping on, indicating that the car was about to start moving. Hua Xiaobao was very anxious and shouted, "Hey! Are you just going to leave like this? Don't you care about me?" Aku didn't even look at him, and Baili Daohua gave him an apologetic smile. It's charming, but even more infuriating. Looking at Hua Xiaobao's resentful eyes, he looks like a resentful woman. Baili Daohua couldn't bear it any longer and shouted, "Hurry up and run, why are you still standing there?" "Yes. I was stupid." Hua Xiaobao spread his legs and rushed out. He looked like someone who had been chased by a dog. He was very fast. The sound of pursuit behind him was left far away. Hua Xiaobao was tired from running and didn't know where he was running to. He leaned against the wall, breathing heavily, looking left and right. What place was this? It's definitely an alley. Huh? No. According to his years of experience, the vicious dog will appear in less than 3 seconds. Sure enough, just a second later, I heard a dog barking behind me. Woof! Woof! Oh my god! Hua Xiaobao let out a cry and ran away again. Fortunately, the vicious dog stopped chasing him after it left the alley, otherwise, he would have been so tired and out of breath that he might not have been able to escape the dog's mouth this time. Dad, answer the phone! Dad, answer the phone! That damn woman is calling again. Don't think too much, this is Hua Xiaobao's phone ringtone. Ever since he had 7 wives, he has had a special liking for this phone ringtone. I won't change it even if you kill me. Hua Xiaobao took a look and saw that it was Baili Daohua calling. He pressed the answer button and Baili Daohua's voice immediately came from the other end. Where are you? Are you okay now? You still care about me? Is there any assistant like you? You left your boss and ran away by yourself. Don't you want to do this job anymore? Boss Hua Xiaobao lost his temper and spoke in a very unfriendly tone. Boss, don't be angry. I was wrong. I accept the punishment. You can do whatever you want, but please don't fire me, okay? Please. Baili Daohua's attitude is sincere, her tone is gentle, and her words are seductive. The words, "you can do whatever you want," completely captivated Hua Xiaobao and made him fantasize endlessly. Whip and candles at your service. Boss, please say something. Don't be angry, okay? The soft and gentle voice of Baili Daohua came from the other end of the phone again. Hua Xiaobao shuddered all over. He couldn't stand this kind of tenderness the most, but he couldn't let it go so easily. I'm very angry now. What do you think we should do? Hua Xiaobao said. Boss, don't be angry. Why don't you come over here and vent your anger however you want? I'll let you do whatever you want with me, okay? The soft whispers of hundreds of miles of peach blossoms are full of temptation. Hua Xiaobao's heart was pounding. He couldn't stand this and asked impatiently, "Where are you?" "I'm at Akei's house, why don't you take a taxi over here?" Baili Daohua said. Hua Xiaobao's heart tightened. That noble-minded female warrior was also here? This was going to be difficult. But I can't care about that. The temptation of peach blossoms is too strong. I'll just go and see. After asking for the address, Hua Xiaobao took a taxi there. Peach Blossom, wait for me. I am here to punish you. Chapter 23 Green. The taxi arrived at an upscale residential area, which was obviously where rich people lived. Wow, I didn't expect that Lady Akei is quite rich. Hua Xiaobao searched for a long time and finally came to Akei's door and rang the doorbell. Ding dong. The door opened as soon as the doorbell rang, and Baili Daohua said happily, "Boss, you are here, thank you for your hard work. Come on, change your shoes. I'll get you some slippers. I'll help you put your shoes in the shoe cabinet. Come, let me help you take off your coat. Boss, come and have some water." Baili Daohua has an extremely good attitude, just like a personal secretary. Hua Xiaobao really enjoyed this feeling. This is what a good woman is. All my previous 7 wives were scumbags. Learn. This is a role model for women. Looking around the room, it was a small apartment with 1 bedroom and 1 living room. Although it is a little small, it is exquisitely decorated and very clean, unlike Baili Daohua's little nest which is messy. Suddenly, Hua Xiaobao felt a cold murderous aura that was released from the heroine's eyes. Why would the female warrior have bad intentions towards me? I really don't understand. Have I offended you? Baili Daohua pulled Hua Xiaobao to sit on the sofa and said, "Boss, I'm sorry for what happened earlier. I was wrong. Can you forgive me? Hua Xiaobao was just worrying about how to bring up this matter, but he didn't expect Baili Daohua to bring it up on her own initiative. He said, as my assistant, how can you abandon your boss and run away? This is wrong. Baili Daohua nodded quickly and said, yes, boss is right, I was wrong, please give me a chance to make amends. That's not right. Didn't I let you do whatever you want? How did it become like making amends? Hua Xiaobao was about to speak, but unexpectedly, the female hero Aku said sarcastically, huh? Someone who doesn't even have a place to live calls himself a boss. Are you not afraid of being laughed at? Hey! Hua Xiaobao didn't like to hear this. He asked, did I provoke you or offend you? Aku didn't even look at him and continued, you have no money, no skills, and yet you want to act like a big shot. What a joke! Hey! Why is this tone exactly the same as that of the 7 wives? Hua Xiaobao couldn't stand it and was too lazy to argue with him. He stood up and said, Daohua, if you still want to continue to be my assistant, come with me now. Let's go buy a villa now, so as not to be looked down upon by others. Baili Daohua was very embarrassed, on one side was her boss and on the other side was her best friend. This put her in a dilemma. She said, can you two stop arguing? Then he said to Aku, Aku, you are my good friend and he is my boss, can you please give me some face? Don't make it difficult for me. Aku seemed very angry and said, don't be fooled by his appearance. This guy is obviously not a good person. He has definitely done a lot of sneaky things. Hua Xiaobao was shocked. You know this too? I have done this kind of thing a lot in the village. But I won't admit it at this moment. He stood up and said, Daohua, are you going to leave? If you don't leave, I will leave by myself. Baili Daohua was so anxious that she said, boss, it's getting dark now. Where can we buy a villa? How about we stay here for one night and go tomorrow? I'm not welcome in this place. I'd better not stay and make myself bored. Since you don't want to leave, I'll leave by myself. After Hua Xiaobao finished speaking, he turned around and walked towards the door without caring about Baili Daohua. Baili Daohua is anxious. She made up her mind and said, boss, wait for me. I'll go with you. Hua Xiaobao was delighted, thinking Daohua's choice was a great one. It seems that Daohua still likes me, otherwise she wouldn't have abandoned her friends and left with a man like me. It's late at night now, who knows, something wonderful might happen. Hua Xiaobao's sweet dream was disturbed by a voice. You can't leave. Before Baili Daohua could take a step, Ake grabbed her. Why? Baili Daohua asked. Ake seemed a little embarrassed and opened her mouth but didn't say anything. At this time, Hua Xiaobao also asked, the legs are on her body, why can't she walk? Aku held onto Baili Daohua tightly and said, you just can't leave. Baili Daohua felt that something was wrong with Ake today, but she couldn't tell exactly what was wrong. She said, Ake, if you don't let me go, there must be a reason. Aku thought for a moment and said, he is not a good person. Don't go with him. This statement is obviously too far-fetched. Hua Xiaobao said, whether I am a good person or not is not up to you to decide. Even if I am not a good person, as long as Daohua is willing to go with me, is it your business? Seeing Aku's angry look, Hua Xiaobao was happy and said, Daohua, ignore her, let's go. Although Baili Daohua felt that Ake was a little strange, if it were any other time, she would definitely ask carefully. But Hua Xiaobao was urging her to do so she had to turn around and talk about it later. She said, Ake, since you don't welcome my boss to stay here, then I have no choice but to go with him. I can't lose my job. Aku said angrily, how much money can he give you? You are helping him like this. Baili Daohua glanced at Hua Xiaobao and said, I don't know. She and Hua Xiaobao had never discussed the issue of salary. But at this time Hua Xiaobao said, I will give her as much money as she wants, and she will naturally help me. Then, Baili Daohua also said, Ake, I am just leaving with the boss tonight. We will still be friends in the future. I cherish our friendship very much. This has been made very clear, and Aku seems to have no reason to stop Baili Daohua from leaving. But Aku seemed reluctant to leave. She turned around and hugged Baili Daohua, as if she was about to lose something very important. Especially that look, which seemed very reluctant to leave. Can't bear to part. Hua Xiaobao was shocked. No way. Could it be that she likes Baili Taohua? Could it be that she is like a grown man like me? She also likes pretty women? Wow. This beautiful heroine is a love rival. Taohua is a strange person, the woman I have reserved for you. I want to marry her home. How can I give her to you, the heroine? No. I absolutely cannot let Taohua stay here, and I cannot even let them have any contact in the future. Now looking at her hugging Baili Taohua, Hua Xiaobao feels a little jealous. What is this? At this time, Baili Taohua's emotions seemed to be infected as well, and she took the initiative to hug Ake. Slowly, Ake held Taohua's face with a burning look in her eyes. No. Please don't kiss her. She's my woman. Ake seemed to hear the cry in Hua Xiaobao's heart and did not kiss him. Instead, his forehead rested against Baili Taohua's forehead, feeling like their ears rubbing against each other. She said affectionately, Taohua, you will never leave me, right? Baili Taohua was also moved and said, we have been through so much together. You are my lifelong friend and I will never leave you. Then can I kiss you? Ake said teasingly. Baili Taohua thought she had heard it wrong and was a little confused. However, just when she was confused, Ake had already launched a sneak attack and kissed her red lips like a dragonfly touching the water. Baili Taohua was even more confused. Hua Xiaobao was even more heartbroken. Green. This love rival is too powerful. He actually cheated on me right in front of me. Chapter 24 The Landlady Attacks. If I don't take revenge, I'll be unworthy of being a man. I'll remember you. Hua Xiaobao said secretly in his heart. Baili Taohua hasn't reacted yet. Aku was already very happy and seemed to have come to terms with it. She said, why don't you stay here tonight? I won't argue with your boss anymore. As soon as these words were spoken, Hua Xiaobao immediately became alert. Oh no. This is a one-bedroom apartment. If Taohua stays, won't she have to sleep in the same bed with Ake? Then there would be a grassland above my head. Hua Xiaobao was about to refuse. Click, click, click. The sound of the key opening the door was heard. Is someone coming in? Is there someone else living in this one-bedroom apartment? All three of them turned to look over. A middle-aged woman in her early 40s, dressed seductively and fashionably, with thin lips and a pair of snobbish eyes, walked in. When she saw three people in the room, her eyes immediately spit fire and she asked Aku, what is going on? Why are there men here? Hua Xiaobao is a little confused. Baili Taohua was also confused. Aku was like a mouse seeing a cat. She no longer had the temperament of a female hero and became timid. She whispered flatteringly, Landlady, why are you here? Oh. It's the landlady. Hua Xiaobao and Baili Taohua understood. But even if she is the landlady, there is no need to be so scared, right? The landlady was very angry and pointed at Aku and said, how many times have I told you that if you want to live in my house, you can't bring men in? It seems that you don't take our agreement seriously at all. Aku quickly explained, no, I have always kept my promise. They are my friends. They are here to help me move my things up here. They are leaving soon. Hua Xiaobao's eyes rolled and he thought to himself, pretty women are really good at telling lies. It seems pretty women really can't be trusted. The landlady was not so easy to fool. She asked, really? Then what did they help you move? Aku was about to point to something at random when he was interrupted by the landlady. She said, you don't have to fool me. I heard it outside the door just now. If you want to keep them overnight, there are few fools these days, so don't try to be clever. Ake was speechless. I could only say softly, I'm sorry. The landlady did not appreciate it, but simply said, you don't have to say sorry, just pay me the half year's rent you owe me, and leave. I won't rent this house to you anymore. Hua Xiaobao didn't expect that the female landlord would evict him because of such a small matter. This was a bit too much. But when I think about it, it's mainly because Ake owed her rent for too long. It seems that she shouldn't be such a bad person. Aku said, Madam Landlord, I know I was wrong. I violated the contract, but can you please be flexible? After all, they haven't stayed here overnight yet. Let me continue to rent here. The landlady snorted coldly and said, you don't have to beg me here. I have been very tolerant of you. Today you challenged my bottom line and paid half a year's rent. Leave. Aku knew she was wrong, and when she saw Baili Daohua wanted to speak up for her, she waved her hand to stop her. She said, "Can you give me a few days' grace? I really have no money now and cannot pay you the rent." The landlady seemed to have anticipated this and said, "I knew you would say that. I've also made up my mind. I'll use your motorcycle to pay off the debt." Can't. When Ake heard that he had to use the motorcycle to pay off the debt, he immediately became excited. The landlady said, "Then you should give me the rent I owe you. It's 2,800 a month, 16,800 for half a year, plus 20,000 for water and electricity. Give it to me." Ake looked helpless, obviously she had no money. This made Baili Daohua confused. She whispered to Aku, "Aren't you rich? Where's the money we're going to put on the gambling table today? Take it out and give it to me. We won't gamble anymore." Aku looked apologetic and said anxiously, "I was itching to spend that money today and I lost it all." Baili Daohua was so disappointed that she asked, "What should we do now?" Aku said, "I don't know either. Anyway, I can't give her the motorcycle. It's my life." "What are you mumbling about? Pay the money and leave quickly." "I'm going to take back this house today," said the landlady. Are you going to take it back today?" Ake asked in surprise. "Yes. If you don't want me to throw your things out, just pack them up yourself to avoid embarrassment." The landlady was merciless. "How can you, woman, ask people to move out so late at night? This is too much. Where do you want us to find a house at this time?" Baili Daohua finally couldn't help but speak up for Ake. "It would be fine if you didn't say it, but once you say it, it's just adding fuel to the fire." The landlady was very angry, but she did not argue with Baili Daohua. Instead, she said to Aku, "Is this your friend? You have a foul mouth. I could have been lenient with you, but now there is no room for negotiation. Hurry up and pay, pack up and leave." Baili Daohua wanted to say more, but was stopped by Aku. She said, "Daohua, stop arguing with the landlady. She has been very good to me by letting me default on paying the rent for half a year. It's my own fault that I am not motivated and have no ability. It's not my fault that the landlady kicked me out. That's what human beings say." "It seems like you still have some conscience," said the landlady. Baili Daohua really wanted to pay the money to help Ake, but she had only 10,000 yuan, which she had previously given to Hua Xiaobao, and now she had no money left in her pocket. "Yes. The boss has money. Can you borrow some from him?" "That's not right. Didn't the boss say he had 20 million? Why did he accept the 10,000 yuan I gave him?" But now is not the time to talk about this. Baili Daohua looked at Hua Xiaobao with pleading eyes. This guy looked up at the sky, as if it had nothing to do with him. Baili Daohua thought he was still angry with Aku. In fact, how could she know? Hua Xiaobao was more than angry, he even wanted to help the landlady scold Aku a few more times. "That's my love rival. He cheated on his love rival right in front of him. That feeling cannot be described by just being angry." But Baili Daohua came closer, and he could no longer pretend not to see her. At first glance, it is a peach blossom face and peach blossom eyes, and the peach blossom eyes are full of begging, which makes people feel soft-hearted. Hua Xiaobao cursed himself inwardly, "What a useless person." Hua Xiaobao agreed to everything without Baili Daohua saying anything. Who made him think that this woman was the best woman in the world? Hua Xiaobao said directly, "Open the QR code and I will transfer the money to you." Baili Daohua was delighted and said happily, "I knew that you are the best, boss, he. I hope the lady won't snatch you from me again in the future." Hua Xiaobao muttered softly. What did you say?" Baili Daohua didn't hear clearly. "Give the money quickly and don't make things too difficult for your friend." Hua Xiaobao handed the money over and said, "Thank you, boss." Baili Daohua said happily. In fact, the landlady was very smart. She had already been thinking about how to collect her rent. So, she gave the security guard a little benefit and asked him to help keep an eye on her tenants. "I didn't expect that the opportunity would come today. Since a man has come to your house, the rent issue is almost certain. Because men will always stand up for women. It has been like this throughout history. There is no doubt about it. This is called wisdom." Soon, Baili Daohua gave the money to the landlady, and the two went to the room to pack their things. Only Hua Xiaobao and the landlady were left in the living room. The landlady received the money and was very happy. She looked at the two people who were cleaning up inside, then turned back to look at Hua Xiaobao. He smiled slightly and said, "Young man, I helped you so much today, how do you want to thank me?" Chapter 25 Uninvited Guests. What does that mean? Hua Xiaobao doesn't he understand? The landlady was a little annoyed and said, "You are so boring now. Do you really need me to explain it clearly?" Hua Xiaobao was even more confused, with a lot of questions in his head. What on earth did this mean? The landlady continued, "If I hadn't pushed a coup today, would you have had a chance to show off? I forced her, and in the end you paid, so does she do you a favor and be grateful to you for it? And then I kicked her out of the house. Did that create a bigger opportunity for you? A homeless woman with no money, your appearance at this time will become great, right? Then you can easily capture her heart. Tell me, should you thank me?" Oh, this is treating Hua Xiaobao as a KS pursuer. The landlady gave him a thorough analysis in a simple and easy to understand manner. Hua Xiaobao suddenly realized that there were so many twists and turns here, and the women in this city are really not simple. At this moment, he remembered what his master had said: everything has cause and effect. Come to think of it, if Ake was not her love rival, she would not have been sarcastic to her. The first time the landlady showed up, she would help her pay all the rent, so she wouldn't be questioned by the landlady, and she might not move out tonight. This is really karma. It seems that I should do more good things and less bad things in the future, otherwise when the retribution comes, I'm afraid I won't be able to bear it. I'm talking to you, do you hear me? The landlady thought that this handsome young man might have something wrong with his brain as he was so slow to react. Hua Xiaobao chuckled. He didn't intend to refute or explain anything. He said, "Thank you. How can I thank you?" The landlady liked what she heard. She thought for a moment and said, "Do you want to buy a car? My family sells cars." Well, Hua Xiaobao really needs this. He said, "What a coincidence. I was just about to buy a car." Hearing this, the landlady immediately smiled and said, "That's great. I have all kinds of cars at home. Which model do you like? Tell me." Hua Xiaobao immediately remembered the off-road vehicle that he saw his fifth and sixth wives driving during the day. It was so domineering, beautiful, and very stylish. He said, "It's the kind of off-road vehicle with four wheels at the back, very tall and majestic. I don't even know what the brand is called." Hua Xiaobao doesn't really know much about cars, he can only describe what they look like. The landlady knew what car it was as soon as she heard it and said, "I know, you are talking about the Tank 1000. I'll show you a picture." As she said that, she took out her cell phone, found a picture of the Tank 1000 and showed it to Hua Xiaobao. When Hua Xiaobao took a look, it was indeed this car, the kind that the fifth and sixth wives drove together. The two of them immediately started chatting. Then Hua Xiaobao exchanged contact information with the female landlord and learned that her surname was Zhang. Hua Xiaobao said, "Mrs. Zhang, how about I go to your car dealership tomorrow to look at the cars?" "Okay, you're welcome anytime," said the landlady, Mrs. Zhang. After packing up their things, Baili and Taohua came out and saw Hua Xiaobao chatting enthusiastically with the female landlord. Their eyes almost popped out of their heads. What is going on? He betrayed his country and defected to the enemy so quickly. This man is so unreliable. Hua Xiaobao knew that they had misunderstood, so he took the initiative to say, "Taohua, it turns out that Mrs. Zhang's family sells cars. How about we go buy a car tomorrow?" Baili Taohua originally had no good impression of this traitor, but when she heard that he wanted to buy a car, she immediately calmed down. Said, "Okay." The change of attitude was so quick that Ake was stunned. Moreover, she was very dissatisfied that Baili Taohua always focused her heart on Hua Xiaobao. She pushed the big suitcase and said, "Man, could you please help me move the box?" Her tone was very stiff and her attitude was very impolite. Hua Xiaobao was not angry with her, because according to Mrs. Zhang's logic, Ake was suffering from a hopeless disaster caused by the will of others. So, he took the box and said, "No problem." After saying goodbye to Mrs. Zhang, the three of them went downstairs dragging two suitcases. The two women decided to spend the night at Baili Taohua's house and discuss the rest tomorrow. Finally, Ake rode her cool motorcycle, while Hua Xiaobao and Baili Taohua took a taxi with their luggage to Baili Taohua's residence. After carrying the luggage upstairs and opening the door, Baili Daohua immediately screamed. A middle-aged man was sitting on the sofa in the room, and two of his men were standing beside him. This is Mr. Chen from the casino today. Why is he here? On the other side of the room stood Go Jianlong and his three men. All three had bruises on their faces, obviously having been beaten. When Baili Daohua saw this, he was dumbfounded. He couldn't afford to offend any of the people here. Why did they all come to my house? Hua Xiaobao was also surprised to see this scene. It was Ake who was brave and decisive. She said, "What are you doing? Breaking into people's houses is against the law." Mr. Chen laughed and said, "We have no ill intentions. We just want to have a chat with Mr. Hua." The two women looked at Hua Xiaobao at the same time, with a questioning look on their faces. He was actually here to look for him? Hua Xiaobao's heart sank. He knew he couldn't hide anymore. He stood up and said, "What do you want to do? You can't afford to lose. You want to get your money back." Har har. Mr. Chen smiled playfully. Said, "If I say yes, what will you do?" Hua Xiaobao said, "At worst, I can return your money to you. It has nothing to do with these two women. Let them leave." "That's really generous. What if I disagree?" Hua Xiaobao narrowed his eyes slightly, turned to look at the two women, and suddenly said, "Run." But as soon as he finished speaking, two pistols were pointed at the heads of the two women, and they came in from outside the door. There's no way to escape now. Mr. Chen is really a fox. He had already expected that the few people would run away, and he actually ambushed people outside. Baili Daohua didn't dare to breathe. Aku had a look of anger on her face, but she didn't dare to move. Although she was a martial artist, no matter how good her skills were, she couldn't avoid bullets. Hua Xiaobao had no choice but to let others do whatever they wanted. The three of them were forced to sit beside the bed. Hua Xiaobao asked, "What do you want?" Mr. Chen was still sitting on the sofa, not in a hurry at all. He took out a cigar, lit it, and slowly exhaled a puff of smoke. He looked very arrogant and seemed to be enjoying it. He did not answer Hua Xiaobao's question, but looked at the bruised and battered Long standing aside. Said, "Take out the things." Obviously, Go Jianlong had suffered a loss at the hands of Mr. Chen before, so he dared not to be dishonest. He reached into his pocket, pulled out a piece of paper, and handed it over respectfully. Chapter 26 Being Threatened. Mr. Chen's subordinate took the paper and handed it to Mr. Chen. Suddenly, Baili Daohua shouted, "That's my IOU, what on earth do you want to do?" Mr. Chen smiled and said, "I'll help you solve your debt." Then, he took out a lighter and burned the IOU. Baili Daohua and the other two were even more confused. What on earth was going on? Mr. Chen ignored the reactions of the three people, but took out a checkbook and started writing quickly. Then he pinched it between two fingers, glanced at Baili Daohua, and said to Go Jianlong, "She has settled her account with you, is that okay?" Go Jianlong didn't dare to say no, so he obediently stepped forward to take the check and left. At this time, Mr. Chen said to Hua Xiaobao, "Look, I helped your woman to settle the bill. How do you want to thank me?" Hua Xiaobao said, "I have my own money, I don't need your help. But I have already helped you, so now you owe me a favor, do you understand?" Mr. Chen said, "It's really weird that people are forced to owe favors to others these days." Hua Xiaobao curled his lips and didn't bother to pay attention to him. Mr. Chen continued, "Tell me, how did you win at the gambling table today?" This question shocked Hua Xiaobao. He said, "Don't you know it yourself? That's how I won." Mr. Chen was very dissatisfied with this answer and he suppressed his anger. He pulled out a revolver, emptied out all the bullets, and put another one in. The revolver chamber turned and locked back instantly, the hammer was pulled down by the thumb, and then the gun was pointed at Baili Daohua. He said, "Now I ask questions and you answer them. If you answer incorrectly or conceal something, I will pull the trigger." Baili Daohua was so frightened that she was speechless and her whole body was shaking. "Do you understand?" Mr. Chen said. Hua Xiaobao looked solemn and did not answer. Snap. Mr. Chen pulled the trigger directly. Baili Daohua was so scared that she screamed and grabbed Hua Xiaobao's arm tightly. Fortunately, there were no bullets in this round, otherwise his Daohua would have died. Hua Xiaobao quickly said, okay, I understand. If you have any questions, just ask." First question, how did you cheat at the gambling table today? Mr. Chen said, putting down his revolver. Hua Xiaobao told the truth, I didn't cheat. Obviously this answer did not satisfy Mr. Chen. He raised the gun again, but this time he no longer aimed at Baili Daohua, but at Ake. Ake's heart trembled. What does this have to do with me? Hua Xiaobao quickly said, what I said is true. Bang! Mr. Chen pulled the trigger again. Luckily there were no bullets in this round, otherwise Hua Xiaobao's rival would have been dead. Mr. Chen told him in this attitude, I don't believe it. Hua Xiaobao looked intently at the revolver, and could see clearly inside the revolver chamber that there was indeed a bullet for the next round. Hua Xiaobao quickly said, okay, I tell you, no matter how you shuffle a deck of cards, I know the position of every card. Oh. This answer was obviously somewhat beyond Mr. Chen's expectations. He thought for a moment and said, you're not fooling me, are you? Hua Xiaobao said, the hand you won over $1 million from me today was originally a diamond, but it was changed to a spade. That was the hand where I knew the dealer was cheating and that he was your guy, so I replaced him. As long as I have a good hand later, I can beat you. In the last round, I already knew what cards you had, so I won you easily. After Hua Xiaobao said this, Mr. Chen really believed it. He asked, how do you know the order of the whole deck of cards? This involves Hua Xiaobao's secret, which he certainly won't tell. He said, this is something I've practiced since I was a kid, eyesight. Others didn't believe it, but Mr. Chen actually believed it. He knew a lot about the experts in the casino. He put away the pistol, stood up, and said, okay, it's okay. Hua Xiaobao was confused again. Is everything okay like this? He said a little nervously, do you want me to return your money to you? Mr. Chen smiled and said, I am not as skilled as you, but I can still afford to lose that little money. After a pause, he continued, have fun these few days. Who knows, I might come to see you again. After all, you still owe me a favor. Don't even think about running away. You can run away, but you can't. Although I don't know your background, I know the backgrounds of your two beauties very well. That's all. See you later. After saying that, Mr. Chen took everyone away. Hua Xiaobao and the other two were so frightened that they collapsed on the bed. Baili Daohua was in mixed feelings. Her debt was gone, she didn't have to pay back the 150,000 yuan, and her relationship with her boss seemed to be tied to her too. However, I still felt uneasy and felt like I had fallen into a big pit. Aku was thinking, this guy is really rich, no wonder Daohua is so determined to follow him, he must have caught a rich husband. No, Daohua is mine, I can't let him take it away from me. Hua Xiaobao was thinking that the casino was indeed not a clean place and there were traps behind any gambling game. However, I seem to have gotten into trouble. It seems that I'd better not gamble again in the future. Otherwise, the troubles will only increase. But where can I get the money? How can I make the most money in the world? It seems that this is a really big problem. Then, the three of them discussed it and decided not to live here anymore. Hua Xiaobao paid for the three of them to stay in a hotel. At this time, in the hotel, Hua Xiaobao booked a luxury suite with 2 rooms and a living room. On the sofa, there was a grassland above Hua Xiaobao's head. In the inner bathroom, in the luxurious large bathtub, 2 beauties were soaking in it, enjoying the bathtub massage. Aku asked, Daohua, are you really planning to follow that boy forever? Yes, he is a good person. Although his ideas are a little naive, he is still a good person. Baili Daohua said. You know what I mean. Baili Daohua was pretending to be ignorant even though she knew the truth, which made Ake a little angry. Baili Daohua giggled and said, I know what you mean. I haven't thought about it yet. Let's see what happens and let nature take its course. After thinking about it for a while, she said again, actually, he is quite handsome. Have you ever thought about it? He might be in big trouble. Mr. Chen is not a good person. Ake said seriously. What can I do? We have such a hard life. If I hadn't met him, I wouldn't have been able to repay the debt my father owed me. Who knows, it might have fallen into old Jin's hands by now. Alas! Baili Daohua let out a sigh, which was mixed with many unknown bitterness and pains. Aku also felt something, so she approached Baili Daohua, hugged her in her arms, and said, no matter what, I will stay with you from now on. Baili Daohua felt her friend's broad mind and said with a sigh, you must have lost your job now, what should you do next? Aku sighed, I don't know what to do either. Baili Taohua rolled her eyes and said, why don't you just go with my boss? He's so handsome and has money, so he's pretty good. Chapter 27, The Red Face List. Come on, I think you are really obsessed with money. For money, you even want to sell your best friend. I'm your good friend, your bestie. You don't need moral integrity, but I do. How can you say such things? Aku seriously corrected Baili Taohua's 3 views. What's the big deal? Nowadays, which capable man doesn't have 3 wives and 4 concubines? We are good friends, so we should keep the wealth within the family. You get the bargain. Baili Taohua said seductively. Bar. Baili Taohua, you have fallen. How did you become like this? Aku said with a disappointed look. I've let it go now. It's basically impossible to find a rich, handsome man who only treats me well. I work in a casino. I never know when I might be eaten alive. Rather than endure the hardship, I might as well seize the opportunity in front of me. Who knows, the day when I can shine might come. Baili Taohua's words contained some emotion, some bitterness, and some helplessness. Ake was obviously infected by her emotions and hugged her tighter. Slowly, Baili Taohua felt something was wrong, dodged Aku's clutches, and asked in confusion, Aku, what are you doing with your hands? What do you think? Ake said with a wicked smile. Okay. I didn't expect you to be a female pervert. I'll subdue you. Come on, who's afraid of who? Aku had a smug smirk on his face, then he took the initiative to pounce forward, causing a huge splash of water. At this point, the house is full of spring and laughter. The next morning, Hua Xiaobao was still sleeping, but Baili Taohua was awake. She was very clear about her identity, which was Hua Xiaobao's assistant. No matter what Hua Xiaobao wanted to do, she had to support him. As far as she knew, there were 2 things Hua Xiaobao wanted to do most. The first thing was that Hua Xiaobao wanted to make a lot of money and become a superior person. She had thought about this problem. She couldn't let Hua Xiaobao have more money in his pocket and become a superior person. But she can reduce the money in Hua Xiaobao's pocket, making him appear superior on the surface, and will take him to do some shopping later. I need to buy several sets of high-end clothes, shoes, and watches. At least we need to improve his image and make him look like a successful person. The second thing is that Hua Xiaobao wants to marry the most beautiful woman in the world. This is very simple, Zhu Yangbang. Zhu Yangbang is a ranking of beauties in the Great Yang Dynasty, updated in real time. Anyone can sign up for the Zhu Yang list. As long as you think you are pretty enough, you can register online and upload 10 photos of your daily life without makeup. Then, their website is open to the public for voting, and whoever gets the most votes is the winner. Everyone has 1 vote, which is valid forever, and you can change your vote at any time. If you like this today, you can vote for this. If you like that tomorrow, you can cancel this and vote for that. It's up to you. Therefore, their website rankings often change. Once you are in the top 100, you will be famous, and fame and fortune are inseparable, so the fortune will surely follow. Baili Taohua also thought about signing up, and she believed that her looks were not inferior to those of the top 10 beauties. But she didn't like being an internet celebrity, so she gave up later. At this moment, she was browsing the beauty list, and the number 1 was still the big star Yun Shuaer, still as beautiful as ever. But the sudden pop-up of news push notifications shocked Baili Taohua. The titles are very eye-catching. Breaking bomb, fox spirits are rampant, 7 demon ladies are born, the Zhu Yang list is in chaos, and the 6 major families fall. Bu Xuanzi, the number 1 fortune teller of the Great Yang Dynasty, comes out again to predict the Zhu Yang list. Master Bu Xuanzi predicted, there will be a big change in the Zhu Yang list, and Yun Shuaer will drop to 8th place. Breaking bomb, Yun Shuaer, the most beautiful woman in the Great Yang Dynasty, will fall from the altar. Breaking news, 7 beauties are on the list of most beautiful women, and 6 major families are facing an economic crisis. A word can stir up a storm. Bu Xuanzi makes another prophecy, which concerns 7 beauties from 6 major families. There are many more and they are all news of this kind. Baili Taohua clicked on one at random. After looking for a while, he was shocked and then entered Hua Xiaobao's room. Seeing that Hua Xiaobao was still sleeping, he walked closer and wanted to wake him up directly, but stopped halfway with his hand. Why does the boss look cute when he's sleeping? Let's tease him. Hua Xiaobao was very tired yesterday, so he slept soundly. But at this moment he felt a little itchy at the tip of his nose. He didn't want to open his eyes, so he rubbed it subconsciously, then turned over and continued to sleep. However, his ear soon started to itch again, so he had to turn over again. But this time, he touched a soft body. He thought he was still dreaming, so he simply hugged it in his arms. Suddenly, a woman's fragrance entered my nostrils. It smelled so good. Originally, Baili Taohua was half lying on the bed, teasing Hua Xiaobao with her hair, but she didn't expect to be hugged directly by this guy. Her face flushed, and for the first time she felt the man's broad mind, her heart pounding. But how could this guy's hands move randomly? Even though you are my boss, rich and handsome, and I want to seduce you, I can't let you have me while you are sleeping, right? However, Baili Taohua hesitated again when she saw the handsome face so close to her. Otherwise, just give in to him? This would only tie him up tighter. But this is my first time. How can I explain it in such a confused way? Just as she was hesitating, Akei's voice was heard outside. Taohua, Taohua, are you there? Baili Taohua was shocked. She couldn't let her best friend see such a scene. Wouldn't that be so embarrassing? She quickly pushed Hua Xiaobao's chest with her hands and tried to get up. However, the boss was too strong, and it was too difficult to break free from his arms. She had no choice but to shout in a low voice, "Boss, don't do this, a coup is here." Hua Xiaobao opened his eyes in a daze and saw Taohua holding his own in his arms. Her pretty face was rosy, so cute. But he was very confused. He thought that he was confused the first 2 times and accidentally climbed onto Taohua's bed. What about this time? We weren't in the same room. Did I climb into her bed again? That's not right. She slept with Akei last night. Hua Xiaobao quickly looked around the room and found that it was the room where he slept, and he felt relieved. At the same time, I immediately thought, isn't it Taohua who came to my bed by herself? Hua Xiaobao was delighted and did not let go of Baili Taohua. He even hugged her tighter. He asked, "Taohua, why did you come to my arms?" After these words were spoken, Baili Taohua was almost angry to death. Is there anyone who asks questions like that? You make it sound like I have no shame. But this was her boss, so she couldn't get angry. She could only shyly say, "Boss, I came to wake you up, but you treated me like that." Baili Taohua acted as if she was aggrieved and shy, which was really attractive. Hua Xiaobao didn't care about that and immediately said, "Don't worry, I will be responsible." Hearing this, Baili Taohua was delighted. When she was about to ask how you would be responsible, Akei's voice was heard at the door. "Taohua, are you in there?" Baili Taohua quickly escaped from Hua Xiaobao's embrace, stood up, and said, "I'm inside." Aku walked in and saw Baili Taohua tidying up her clothes, and immediately she felt a green glow on her head. Puzzled, "Why are you in his room?"